Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to PSGL. George Morgan here, your commentator, alongside me, TK, who is going to be rounding off the season with me.
Down the inside,
absolutely impossible season.
This is for the win between these two.
I'm on the edge of my seat.
He needs to get it done now.
Blakely will dive to the inside.
We're robust. We got our elbows out.
Ronard takes the lead.
Because here comes Alfie Butcher.
Can't really complain with that one.
It's not going to be easy. The pressure is on, of course.
Yana Watmere is your champion. Well, this has been some time, I have to say. Welcome back to PSGL, everybody. George Morgan here. Alongside me is the one, the only Tom Knight. PCF1 is finally back on the brand new game cycle. We're watching now the rebirth, a new era, shall we say, on the brand new F1 25 game, brought to you and powered by EA Sports F1, of course. First up on our list on this PCF1 journey is, of course, as I said, Interlagos. We are here for the Brazilian race here this season of season 40. Can you believe it's been that long? It's a pleasure to see you all around the world as well. Conversing in the live chat as always. As I said, George Morgan here alongside me, TK, Tom Knight. Welcome back to the show. Good to be back.
Very, very good to be back. I'm very excited to get started here on what is season 40 of the biggest show in F1 League Racing.
It's the only show in F1 League Racing. I can tell you that, TK. Looking forward to it. First and foremost, before we get into quali, we have got a spicy little hot lap from one and the only Brendan Lee.
We are here for the brand new season of PSGL on F1 2025, kickstarting everything off here in Interlagos, Brazil, a race really known for dramatic weather, dramatic races, and a drag race to the start-finish line to take home victory. Would that be possible on the brand new iteration of the Formula 1 game? Increased dirty air is going to be playing a major factor in today's race as we head into the middle sector. This is the key area that the drivers behind will really struggle to stay close, but if they can exit the final corner within 3-4 attempts of the car ahead, they could be on to snatch victory as you run up to the start-finish line. Really watch out for the weather here. It can be changing in a click of a finger, and strategy will be oh so important. The pit lane entry is very difficult as well. Easy to get a speeding in pit lane penalty, and also the exit can be absolutely pivotal to gain a few thousandths of a second over your rival. So we are here, done with the lap in Brazil, and enjoy the race.
Yes, there we go. That is Brendan Lee and his hot lap, everybody. Always a pleasure to see Brendan in amongst us, of course, here for more PSGL action, giving us a hot lap guide of Interlagos. And speaking of which, TK, obviously he mentioned the weather can be a bit topsy-turvy. I can tell you it is now, folks. We head across to the analysis screen now. Qualifying now has just got underway. And I have to tell you, the rain is falling, TK.
It certainly is indeed. Brazil, and especially Interlagos, can be one of those microclimates that really bring in a rainstorm at a moment's notice. Obviously, we can quite often see them go out just as quick, so drivers are going to be, have to be on their toes for this qualifying session.
Yeah, I am hearing, of course, from you guys that are tuning in on not TikTok, obviously. Our TikTok's not working either, but apparently Twitch is not showing anything. It's just a black screen at the moment, so I do apologise to all of you at home. I can assure you that YouTube is working fine, so if, of course, you are about and you're looking to join in on the action, you're missing out, please make sure you come across to the YouTube channel. That is not our fault, I will say that. That is, of course, a restream issue. Of course, we have just recently upgraded the package here at PSGL, where we can go out to 3 different channels at once. So in future, of course, we were hoping tonight, we will, of course, be commencing a broadcast on TikTok as well as anything else. Yana Watmere, just coincidentally, has just managed to post the fastest lap so far. We will move across and join the action right now. Wet tyres being embraced by the Flying Dutchman as Nicolas Longue now goes first fastest as well. TK, obviously a few indecisive drivers as to whether we pick the wets or the inters, and that's going to be the topic of discussion, I think, very much so, given the fact that the very nature of the rain is coming down here at Interlagos.
think you're absolutely right. Maybe that was more of a reconnaissance run from Yada Watmir. We often see it where they'll take the intermediates out on a dry track. So I wonder if he's implying a very similar logic here. Take a slower tyre out, just get used to how that track's going to build up and progress, especially in these weather conditions, and then you can start to go for runs.
Of course, we have seen the intermediate and wet tyres, or mainly the intermediate tyres, used in dry conditions as well. That was, of course, a feature of ours through the course of recent seasons, where drivers just utilise them, not to waste a set of slick tyres, just to test their own rig systems, make sure everything's working okay. Reece Linton, we welcome him to the top end of F1 League Racing, and he goes 5th fastest on a fresh set of intermediates as well. It's still Nicholas Longuet holding all the cards. We welcome back Alfie Butcher as well, who's 4th fastest, and Lucas Blakely. We want to talk about big news, TK. Blakely leaving McLaren and now settling in, obviously, for PSGL at Mercedes. We don't know where he's going yet.
We don't at all, and that is such a mystery surrounding not only Blakely, but quite a few of the drivers at the moment. Nobody quite knows where they're going to settle down and call home for the next 12, 18 months or so, because we've had these massive stories over years, 2 years, 3 years even, where drivers have been so dominant and especially attached to a team that we're not even in silly season yet. We're in this part of the season where we should start to see those contracts locked down.
Yeah. Obviously, we're now in that point where silly season begins. Ismail Fassi, we welcome him back after a groundbreaking couple of seasons in F1 sim racing and a groundbreaking lap here at this point. Obviously, still early days here in Q1, and it is a 1:15.118 for Ismail Fassi. Of course, new acquisition for Ferrari for last season's F1 Sim Racing World Championship, but we can't forget his massive debut for Williams the season prior, which of course I was in the commentary box for a majority share of the championship season. But it was a stunning display from Fassi. Definitely more to come, TK.
Absolutely. This is only the starting to his story, and I feel he's got so much more to bring to the scene. I'm really excited to see how he develops over the next 6 months or so, because we could see back-to-back-to-back wins from this young man.
Certainly can. Lucas Blakely with a 18.914 in the first sector sends him purple so far. Of course, Blakely, a former PSGL champion back in season 31. No stranger to victories here in this series, and not to mention following that PSGL W. Back then, he went on to then claim the 2022 World Championship and the F1 Sim Racing World Championship to boot too. So he had a fantastic year that year, now looking to reclaim those former glories. It's been a tough couple of seasons though for the Scot, who has also racked up appearances in the GB4 and GB3 championships, as now Blakely comes out of Junção and now sends it down the long straight across the top of the grandstand, past Sabiba does boxes, and now past the Archie Bancardis, and across the line he will go, and it'll be first fastest. The first 1:14 of the session, and call an ambulance because it's 9:99.
Just scrapes in, and it'll be, well, whether there by hook or by crook, he's managed to get into the 1:14s. So that could be a very good sign for Mr. Blakely as we continue our way through. Worth noting, though, that still 8 drivers are yet to set a lap time. Of course, they are just understanding how the weather conditions are affecting here in Interlagos, because it can really throw a curveball, as Lewis Hamilton knows all too well.
Certainly does. Thomas Ronhart, we welcome him back as well with Kick F1 Sim Racing, again going close to the F1 Sim Racing title last season. He now blasts himself into first fastest this time, and 6 thousandths quicker than former champion Lucas Blakely. So it's Kick Sauber on top, and he's got himself a new teammate as well, TK. Obviously, we've got to talk about this because Julian Klaffenbach rises up the ranks. Obviously, many of you will know him from previous tiers in the system, obviously in several appearances in F2 as well, now moving up into F1 after some sporadic appearances, but now a full-time driver. He's very excited. We will be hearing from him a little bit later on, but just talk about this now new raft of talent we've got coming in, because Julian Klaffenbach, no stranger to many people, R8G signing, and many would say probably a surefire favourite for a drive for the upcoming F1 Sim Racing World Championship campaign.
Almost certainly. If you haven't been watching the lower tiers of PSG, I mean, first of all, why haven't you? Because you get to see talent like this coming through the ranks, because there are some incredibly gifted drivers amongst the tiers in PSGL here. And to be able to watch that journey as they climb up the ranks, and now to see Julian up in PCF1, it's actually quite nice to see how he's progressed over his career so far. And as you were saying, more to come.
Yeah, definitely more to come. And Joris Krozen, of course, returning also after his first stint. He's just invalidated his lap time. 19.1 in the first sector, 40 point something. But it's all for naught anyway. He's just come. He's just about to come into the pits, I think, anyway. In fact, he is in the pits. Josh Edo, we got some movement down at Alpine. Of course, stepping in is Josh Edo alongside Otis Lawrence. Of course, Danny Berejnay was scheduled to drive for this season, but of course the teams do have their discretion as to when they can pull drivers in, pull drivers out. Danny Berejnay, of course, a storied history at Veloce over many, many years, racing for the likes of Mercedes, for example, where he spent a great deal of his time, has partnered Jarno Watmir for 2 different teams. Of course, many of you remember back at Alfa Romeo, where Jarno would go on to win his first F1 Sim Racing World title after a debut season at Renault. Of course, Danny Berejnay, highly rated, has been with Mercedes twice on 2 separate occasions. First time with Brendan Lee, where Brendan Lee went on to win his title. Many would argue the perfect teammate to have when you're going for a world championship, so that might provide hope for Otis Lawrence. But at the end of the day, here at Alpine, and Alpine making a major statement with the signature of Danny Berejnay, but also the really highly rated young man and arguably one of the brightest young talents to come through the league racing scene in many years, Otis Lawrence here, TK.
Again, a fantastic young man. We've seen how much skill he has when he drives. You've seen his ability to win races. And again, I think under the leadership of Alpine, partnered with Danny, who is essentially the Valtteri Bottas of F1 sim racing. He's a fantastic driver in his own right. But if you look at his past history, his teammate has always been the one to take the show. So I hope that they can come together, work together, and actually bring Alpine some long overdue success.
Yeah, it's a double-banded Welsh double act here for the Alpine team, because Josh Edo coming from the Rhondda Valleys, and of course Otis Lawrence not too far away from there either. Now crosses the line and goes fastest with a 1:14.425. We're coming into crunch time now, folks. 6 minutes and 50 or so to go, and it's Gotis on top as Joni Tormela now crosses the line, formerly of Alpine from last season, but now no longer part of that team, certainly for the time being anyway. Pops into second fastest for the Williams team. And Josh Edo, the second of the Alpines, now crosses the line after setting a green sector. Well, all three sectors were green, which is great to see. Elsewhere, Alfie Butcher also on a charge as well. Green in the first 2 sectors, an 18.925 and a 38.643. I can tell you we've got improvements elsewhere as well, but Alfie Butcher now up into third as Ismail Fassi, after setting a really nice final sector, pops into the top spot for the Scuderia. Nicolas Longuet, though, purple in the middle and will go fastest. So the time's now starting to heat up here, TK. And Longuet, fresh from his Ferrari departure, now for now, in our case for PSGL, driving an Aston Martin.
Well, speaking of things heating up, I've seen 2 drivers who've prepared the soft tyres. It might be a bit of a gamble. The rain does look like it is backing off here towards the end of Q1. Julian and Tom Manley, the 2 drivers that are opting for the soft, they're still sat in the pit lane, so no celebrations quite yet, but we could see a very spicy finish end to this qualifying.
We could do, and it could come from this man, the Flying Dutchman, purple in the first 2 sectors, looking to displace now Barry Burmand, and Otmir does, and he's being chased down by Lucas Blakely as well, who's driving the car he used to drive that took him to a F1 Sim Racing World title, but Jarno Otmir recently becoming the undisputed GOAT in the world of F1 Sim Racing, winning a much acclaimed 3rd World Championship, and now breaking the hoodoo, breaking the spell of drivers not achieving anything further than a 2nd World Championship, and now he is the highest recorded champion in the history of F1 Sim Racing. Only 2nd is Brendan Lee, of course, just behind him, who is, of course, now our hot lap producer. Which is great to see, as now Freddie Rasmussen goes first fastest, so it's Red Bull 1 and 2. Thomas Ronhar has gone 3rd fastest as well with a purple final sector. So it's still Red Bull in control. Of course, Freddie Rasmussen clinching his first title back in 2023. And, of course, Red Bull have been on a run once again of laying claim to big prizes in the world of F1 sim racing. And Freddie with a 1:13.198. And it just goes to show that the track is really starting to warm up. And just to go in line with what you were saying, TK, the rain has stopped. It was starting to slow up. It was around 2 minutes ago we were hearing that it was stopping. There's now no rain expected, so we could yet get some slick running here. And in fact, saying that, Ismail Fassi, Otis the McLaren in 14th of Jake Benham and also Josh Edo. They're all embracing the softs, as is now Julian Klappenbach and Tom Manley.
Yeah, they're all sat on softs, but still sat in the pit lane. More crucially, they're just waiting probably until the last possible moment to go out when the track will be at its most optimal. They don't want to be essentially the drawing force that clears a track for the car behind them. So we might see a bit of a queue heading up towards the line in the last few moments of this qualifying session. But the rain has stopped, DRS has been enabled. We're on for a fascinating 3.5 minutes.
We certainly are. 3 minutes and 25 and ticking, and the pit lane is filling up. Obviously, give us your predictions, folks. We'd love to hear from you. Who do you think's getting eliminated? As you know, 20 drivers. We will be saying goodbye to 5 of them. We would like to hear from you as to who you think is barrelling out. At the moment, only 3 drivers have yet to set times. That includes newcomer for a full season campaign, Julian Klappenbach, Tom Manley, and Ulas Yildirim. Important to note, 2 RBs not setting a single time, and to my reckoning, not even setting a single lap. It looks like we're just seeing Tom Manley out for the first time. Obviously, they don't see the point in doing any wet running at all, TK.
I don't think they have. Maybe they didn't want to take the risk. We know how slippery Brazil has been in previous titles, and I'm sure they've done a very similar sort of test here on the brand new game that we have seen. So maybe they just didn't want to take that risk. Maybe there were a few mistakes as well. I was riding on board with Ruben Vitorino slightly earlier on, of course, one of the other new faces that has come to join us in PCF1. He was looking a little bit uncomfortable as he headed through the second sector. Couldn't quite get the car kind of comfortable, essentially.
Well, we're hearing from Blake Ellenwood that Tom Knight is out in Q1. I firmly do not believe that for a minute, TK. I think your position here is safe. Tom Manley now making his way up the hill through towards Junkao. And also, I have been listening to our audience as well. We've enlisted the time, should we say, the track map in the bottom right of screen. So taking your advice on board, YouTube chat, and we have brought that out for you as well, as we now watch Tom Manley about to make his way down through towards the start-finish straight, past the Archie Bancalis and in towards turn 1, heading downhill in towards the Senna S's this time around. Let's see how he gets on. Obviously didn't feel the need to run in any wet running, but is going to take the slick compound now down the long straight, but he's now going to meet a lot of traffic here, and this is where things could get a little bit complicated. Heading down through towards turn 4, I think he's ultimately backed off here, TK, and for good reason.
He was never going for a lap to begin with through the Senna S's. He was sat at 100% battery. I think we're seeing a double out lap from Tom Manley. Just get the tyres that extra little bit of tyre temperature before we head until that final lap. This is actually an incredible strategy from the V-Carb.
Yeah. Bit different to everybody else, maybe just fueling up a little bit more. We'll have to burn up a little bit more fuel as well if he wants to stay as light as possible. Double out lap does look like it is on the cards, and now joining the rest of the runners in the middle sector here at this point now. Yellow flags obviously up in sector 2. That is because there's quite a crowd making their way around the final portion of this circuit. We'll keep you well atrim as to what's going on. It looks like Haas are currently at the head of the order. Reece Linton behind his teammate Joris Krozen. So we'll keep our eyes peeled now as to where the times are going, as now Krozen makes his way across the line and now prepares ready for his final fast run of Q1. 20 seconds left. We will decide who's going to be leaving us come the end of these laps, folks. So make sure you stay tuned. Get your predictions in the live chat. That's what it's there for, as we now keep our eyes panned on the timing screen and keep you updated as to who's fast and who's not. Coming through turn 4, Joris Krozen. Let's run on board with the young man. Of course, Haas's new star from last season. Of course, Reece Linton joining him now, a fresh face for the team. So they come through the middle sector now through turn 7 and turn 8. Out of turn 9, sweeping uphill out to the Pinarino in towards turn 10 and Pico de Pato. And then down and then to the left once more. Will then meet Junkao off the back of the Murillo corner. And then through Sabiba Doz boxes and the Archie Bancalis on the right-hand side. Power down here for Joris Krozen. I can tell you that Krozen is currently purple in the middle sector, but it's just been stolen by Barry Burman. So plenty of names starting to come through. Decent lap from Krozen. Fastest lap so far from Krozen as Reece Linton takes that away. Barry Burman now will also charge to the top. That is a special lap, a 107.117. We've also got moves here from Jake Benham, who's purple in the middle sector as well. Purple in the first, for Freddie Rasmussen. Otis currently fastest. Here comes now Jake Benham up towards the line and up for second fastest right now. Blakely also about to come through. He's ninth fastest. We've got Jarno Opmeer, Thomas Ronhaar now to the top and has managed to muster the fastest time of a 106.960. The only 106 that we've managed to muster here in the session. Otis Lawrence second fastest, and that will bring it end to our Q1 session. Thomas Ronhaar fastest with a 106.960, the only time of its kind, 82 thousandths quicker than the Welshman Otis Lawrence. Jarno Opmeer in third, certainly seems well and truly on fire on this new game, with Jake Benham alongside him as well, the two former teammates. Barry Burman fifth, Pedreño sixth, Tormala, then comes Butcher, Hoffland, Fassi, Longay, Blakely, Linton, Crozen, Ozilda, and we say goodbye. Big shocks. Freddie Rasmussen, Josh Edo, Pookie, Manley, Klaffenbach also out as well. That means we are saying goodbye to one RB, one Red Bull, one Alpine, one Mercedes, and a Kick Sauber as well. Some big shocks there, TK.
Absolutely. It was Istvan Pookie that made a mistake on that final run. You saw Jarno Opmeer just overtook him through that middle sector, and it was just a little bit of a kick out of the rear of the car. Couldn't quite put the power down as much as he would have liked, and that has led to him having a bit of an early shower this afternoon. One thing that I did want to say, though, Jarno Opmeer made the line there. He was the last car up to it by 1 second.
Yeah. And Tom Knight's through as well, you're absolutely right. Blake Ellenwood. In the meantime, obviously we lost Julian Klaffenbach. Just before we get into the nitty-gritty that is Q2, let's hear from the new man at Kick Sauber.
Guys, my name is Julian Klaffenbach, and yeah, today we finally get going here in PSGL PCF1. It's been a long time since the last game where I was doing some reserve starts in PCF1, but now obviously as a full-time driver alongside Thomas, it's great. A great achievement for myself, I can't lie. And yeah, now I can't wait to get going. Obviously in Brazil it's always going to be super close with the lap times, as it's a pretty short track. And also maybe we'll have some rain in quali or the race. So I think we'll definitely have an interesting race. Obviously now also the tire wear and the engine temps are going to play a huge role in the race. And yeah, I just can't wait for the whole season now. I will try my best, and yeah, we will see how everything works out. I hope you enjoy the race. Thank you.
So there we go, that's Julian Klaffenbach, everybody. You join us now back for Q2. You're joining me and Tom Knight. It's great to be back in PSGL, and we welcome you all back for the ride as well. If you haven't done so already, you know what to do. Hit the like and also leave a subscribe as well to stay up to date. We've got a huge calendar to bring you right through the course of the campaign. We will be running through that as well later on. If you missed the big reveal video and haven't stayed tuned, I should say, to the PSGL social medias, you can of course go across and like those social medias as well at Premier Sim GL. But in the meantime, Q2 in full swing, TK, and after some heavy hitters leaving the session, I have to argue, you're looking at the likes of Rasmussen, you're looking at the likes of Istvan Pookie as well, who I must say, generally one of the more consistent protagonists on most race weekends here at PSGL, and he's out of the session.
Absolutely. Changeable conditions was not to his favour this afternoon. I think that's what he's really got to hammer home to his engineers. They made the wrong call to maybe go for one last lap then. Maybe they should have gone a little bit earlier, had something in reserve just in case it went wrong. But it's going to be a learning opportunity as they head forwards.
Certainly will. Obviously now we're getting underway, and it's Thomas Ronhaar who is currently nestled in the fastest first sector of a 16.9. Well, it's still very early on, obviously. We've got 12 minutes and 44 to go, and we'll wait and see how these first laps come in. Obviously, this is the first time they'll witness a full session of qualifying with slick compounded tyres. They can use the full-on soft compound here, so we'll wait and see how they get on. Obviously now as Thomas Ronhaar makes his way through Junsao and now over the top of the crest, coming out of turn 13 and 14 past the Archibancada. Otis Lawrence has now stolen the purple middle sector, so the man who was very close to going fastest in the last session now looking to go fastest once more. Thomas Ronhaar up to the top with a 106.671. Here comes Otis, 106.640, and now also we're seeing more improvements from the McLaren team as well. Alfie Butcher, who was also up and dancing in that middle sector. Also Jake Benham, the all-star, returning purple in the middle sector with a 33.6. Here he comes, second fastest, just a few thousandths away from the top time that was of course listed by Otis. As now we see Duncan Hoffman from, of course, the Aston Martin team now moving into ninth. Jarno Opmeer, who's also looking quick, registering a 16.9, the fastest first sector so far as we watch now. The resident three-time F1 Sim Racing World Champion make his way through the middle sector and now uphill through towards Junkau. And of course, Freddie Rasmussen will be watching on and obviously cheering on his fellow Red Bull teammate as the Flying Dutchman now lifts himself through the Archibancaris with a 106.640 to beat. It was the 34.021 in the middle sector. And Jarno goes 7th fastest, not the best, but certainly won't be the last lap he will field here in Q2. It is currently Otis, your fastest man, out on track. Good start from the Welshman.
Absolutely, good start to Q2. He's got himself in a good position going forward. Should we see maybe a little bit of carnage, maybe a little bit of chaos? Let's not forget, probably they will be on used tyres going on their opening runs there. They have a considerable number of sets they can use with the lobby reset that will happen slightly later on. But of course, they do want to get those bank laps in before their Delta to kind of come into fruition.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the one thing we do know about Brazil, it's got everything pretty much. You've got the long straights through the first sector, heading through the start-finish line, heading in towards the center S's. Then, of course, coming in towards turn 4, you then meet something that's largely more technical, especially between corners of turn 7 through towards turn 12. And, I mean, the majority of that middle sector, TK, you're putting a lot of load on those tyres. And time management is also just as imperative as outright pace, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's not just one set of tyres either, not just one side of the car. You have corners that essentially throw the car left, then right, then left again. And it puts both sides under pressure, but at different times during the lap. So it's really crucial to get the setup right so that you're not overworking a specific side at any one time.
Well, we're hearing in the live chat that apparently Will Lewis is not happy with me. Apologise for that, Will. I don't know what I did, but I apologise. I hope you're keeping well. So we now watch as the drivers make their way out once again. But yes, obviously, again, your predictions are welcome. Let us know who you think is going to be barrelling out here at the end of Q2. We're still in the running with 9 minutes and 25 to go, so do let us know where you're from as well, where you're tuning in from. We've got viewers from all around the globe, and I'm proud to say that we've got well over 650 of you broadcasting, watching live here to this PSGL broadcast, so please be sure to share it to your friends, your family, and everybody else as well, and we would love to hear from you as well. Not in a face cam, says Will Lewis. I'm sorry about that, Will. As we now watch as Q2 gets back in full swing. Maybe we will show some later on, just for you. Here we go. So, Otis Lawrence out very early. Barry Burman very keen to join him. Obviously, a chance here for 3 runs here in Q2 here, TK.
Absolutely. The track's clearer. They have 5 less cars to deal with. The weather's not much of an issue here in Q2, so they do have that opportunity to try and run through. And just worth reminding people, they are coming into chat, into the YouTube chat. We are aware of the issues over on Twitch. Just pretend it's a radio commentary for this evening.
Yeah, to those of you on Twitch, you can of course come and join us on YouTube. For some reason, Twitch doesn't seem to like us this evening. I can assure you that the stream, according to my screen, is running, and it's running fine. But obviously, for you lot out there, you're not seeing a thing. So there we are. Obviously doesn't want you to tune in. Let's run on board with Otis Lawrence, heading downhill through the center S's, and it looks like he's backed off from this particular run. Not an optimal run here from the Welsh wonder, who obviously rose to fame, certainly back in the F1 Sim Racing World Championship last season, capturing a first ever win in the series back at Jeddah. Of course, this is a largely different circuit to the Saudi Arabian circuit, but nonetheless, what a way to announce your arrival on the F1 Sim Racing scene.
Absolutely. There is probably not a more fast-flowing technical circuit on the Formula One calendar, and he raced that to perfection. You could see the emotion that he let out after that first win, and absolutely fair play to him, because that was a dream come true for the young man.
Yeah, an almighty roar was sent out. Obviously, I'm sure much to the alarm of the other drivers around him. Obviously, when you're in those spaces in the LAN arena, you know you're so close to every other competitor out there as well on the actual circuit. So it's very different to how they'll be operating right now, because they'll either be operating from their main centres where they're working with their teams. A lot of them obviously working from home as well. So you're not as tied together with the rest of your competitors out there on circuit, as now Otis makes his way down through towards the long straight and will cross the line once more to begin yet another run. Obviously this time, no doubt, a faster one, as he now weaves his way through the centre S. He's committed, heading through turn 2 and now out of turn 3. The run towards turn 4 is coming up next. Jake Benham will just quickly pan across to him because he's gone purple in the middle sector with a 33.4, so obviously not doing a double outlap stint here this time. Benham will go to the top instead and now mitigate the lap that has been put in by Otis Lawrence, but Otis now could yet respond in kind. Also looking to respond in kind is Nicolas Longuet, the Frenchman. Now removed from Ferrari, he's here at Aston Martin for PSGL and fastest of anybody right now by 44 thousandths of a second. Alfie Butcher also with 2 green sectors and 16.9, 33.4. Also improving Ismail Fassi as well, as we now see Lucas Blakely go to the top in the Mercedes. Butcher looking to join him, goes second fastest. Now what about anyone else? We've got Otis, who's also on those personal bests. We saw him earlier on at the start of his lap. We'll join him now at the very end of it as he crosses the line, goes second quickest and 2 thousandths away from the top where Lucas Blakely is currently operating. TK.
Razor thin margins there in qualifying. It was looking like a dream lap there from Otis Lawrence. He found 2.5 tenths through the first 2 sectors, found an incredible amount of extra time as he came through the third. He just needed to hug that wall maybe a little bit closer, but 2 thousandths of a second is going to feel like heartbreak if that's all he loses it by.
Yeah, well, Reece Linton coming across the line next will move up to 6 ahead of Barry Burremand, who just cemented in his last lap. Joris Krozen currently in the drop zone. Jarno Opmeer also currently in the drop zone as well. We're just inside 5 minutes actually before the end of the session. Joni Tormela, who has been around the block in the world of F1 sim racing. Not alone, of course, because the likes of Alvaro Carreton, of course, still racing for the Williams team as Tormela goes 10th quickest. The last team that Tormela represented was, of course, Alpine last season. Carreton, in fact, I think holds the longest stint with one single team, as in he's only ever driven for one single team, and he has been there since the walls went up back in 2018 as well.
Yeah, Ron Haar crossed the line, goes 3rd fastest for Sauber. Of course, the only Sauber remaining in the last 2 qualifying sessions, hoping to go through. And with a name and a history like this young man, you'd be very expectant that he would go through to Q3 here this afternoon.
Yeah, well, Thomas Ron Hart now coming down through towards turn 4. We'll be hoping that this will be his year. If you remember back in season 32-33, there was that majorly let's just say there was some controversy. Of course, we witnessed the last race at Bahrain. Many of you would have done. There was a stewards meeting through the course of the night where, of course, Thomas Ron Haar had his championship win taken away from him due to a penalty sustained during the race, just due to sheer driving standards. Later on, the championship win went to Barry Burremand, who lifted it aloft, but it was a hugely contentious moment between the 2 drivers. And of course, we've seen Thomas Ron Haar in the midst of many of them across the last few years. He's obviously been battling with the likes of Jarno Opmeer in that very fiercely contested rivalry that we, of course, once watched before. We could yet see it again, as we now see as Ron Haar powers his way into the pit lane. 3 minutes left to go, and very shortly they'll all peel out for one final run, one last dance here in Q2.
At the moment, it's both Williams in trouble, though. Tormela and Petrino will be looking to try and make those positions. Thomas Ron Haar retires, deciding he is either done or believes he can't go quicker. I'm going to assume it was probably the first out of those 2, deciding he's done enough to make it through to Q3. It's a brave move with so long left on the clock here, George.
Yeah, many cars now venturing out onto the track already. Jake Benham now heading out as well. We've also got outlaps here from Nicolas Longuet, who now weaves his way down through towards turn 4 just to get the heat into the tyres. Also Otis Lawrence heading out as well. In fact, I think he'll be one of the first, and he is, to make his way out on his outlap. So we'll see whether he looks to do the 2 runs, because there's still 2 minutes left to go, and if he wants to use another lap just to add a little bit of extra heat into the tyres, he's actually put on a new set here, TK. So I do wonder whether that's what he's planning.
I think you'd be absolutely right in that. New tyres absolutely go hell for leather towards the end of the session. Obviously, you want to make sure you're through, because there's nothing worse than going out for your final run in Q2 going, I can take this a little bit easy, and then actually getting knocked out and having to start in the mid-pack.
Yeah. Lucas Blakely also retiring, obviously feels that he's comfortable as well, and I imagine he is, if Thomas Ronhaar is anyway. Of course, P3 for Thomas Ronhaar, P1 currently for Blakely, but Lawrence looking to send a message. So now makes his way down through towards turn 1, and as you can see, immediately backing off, so not too worried about setting a lap this time, but just jumping out of the way to allow Longuet through, so he's not disturbed on his flying lap instead. We're right on board here with the Frenchman, who now powers down through towards turn 4, heading down Retta Aposta, very soon Decilia de Largo. And he'll go heavy onto the brakes, coming into the 50-metre board, now straight on the power, and barely crosses those white lines you can see on the left-hand tyre on the front end. And now bending through the next right-hander at turn 6, turn 7, or in sector 2 proper, heading in towards another right at turn 8, and then cutting back once more into the Pinerino. Out of Essay corner, now into Vico Tapato, heavy on the brakes. And now back on the throttle again. And just grazing those curves as well. Just going to have to dodge and weave around a Haas as well, keeping it tight to the inside on the run-ups through towards Junkao. And feathering that throttle again before he slams it back down again through towards the Archiban Cardis on the right-hand side. As they now storm up through towards the line. Where is Longuet going to situate? The very car that Otis Lawrence drove to his first win last season. Here comes now Nicolas Longuet, and second fastest here for now.
Got a few drivers already causing a car park at the penultimate corner. Both McLarens, Duncan Hoffland, to name a couple of them, as they just line up and get ready for their final attempts here in the second qualifying outing. And they will be going momentarily. We haven't seen as dramatic as we had in the Q1, but thankfully all of our drivers will get across the line to start their final runs. Barry Borman goes fastest though, 106.161.
Yeah, 106.161 indeed, TK, and faster than former teammate at McLaren, Lucas Blakely. Of course, the two of them together went on to lift the team's championship aloft. Blakely, of course, winning the team, not just the teams, but also the driver's title back in 2022 as well. But as we now watch them get set ready for those final runs to come on through, Otis Lawrence still out on track, has currently found a little bit of time. Green in the first sector. We've also got Reese Linton out on track too. He's now making his way up towards the line this time after a green first sector. Not so green though in the middle. But we'll see whether the final sector could offer him something. Not quite. Not enough of an improvement. We do have, though, Jarno Otmir currently sat on the bubble in P10. Ulas Yildirim jumps up into the top 10. But Otmir now up into 7th, and that's the final time he will enlist. It's purple, though, here as well from young Jake Benham, who's looking to also save his own skin. He could yet relegate Joris Krozen into the bottom 5. Checkered flag is out. No improvements will come from the Haas. And Benham eliminates Krozen this time. Duncan Hoffland's out as well. It's all on Ruben Pedreño, who has not improved in the first sector. I would say that he is out, so we're going to be saying goodbye to two Williamses, two Haas, well, one Haas, and also an Aston Martin and an RB of Ulas Ozyildirim. Barry Burremand, your fastest man out on circuit, and Otis, of course, managing to muster up a second fastest time. But that's all she wrote. A furious end to Q2. But a great effort from Reese Linton. First start in PSGL as a full-time driver here, TK, and he's already in Q3 for the first time.
What an achievement. He's now got to try and convert that to a great grid position. He's got the talent, he's got the ability. Are we going to see a fantastic final qualifying to represent that Haas team? Just to note again, Otis Lawrence once again was 0.02 of a second off the top time.
It's absolutely monumental, isn't it? 2,000s between Otis Lawrence and Barry Burremand. And also, if you want to exacerbate the situation further, 92 thousandths is the spread between P1 and P6 right now, which I think is absolutely unbelievable. I can, of course, tell you that, yes, you're absolutely right, Josh. Kreese, Voigt, Pedreño did have something go wrong at turn 1 or turn 2, because that time in the first sector was a 23.041, hence why he will not be featuring in Q3. We say well done to Barry Burremand on laying claim to the fastest time in Q2, 2,000s quicker than Otis Lawrence and 200s quicker than Ishmael Fassi, who's in third for Ferrari 1 and 3. Blakely, then Longuet, Ronhaar, Otmir, Butcher, Benham, Linton. We say goodbye to Krozen, Isildirim, Tormala, Pedreño, and of course Duncan Hoffland as well. They will not be making it through at all into Q3, where we'll then have the top 10 shootout. Obviously, TK, again, maybe some blows for the array of drivers that we do have there. quite impressed with Haas, obviously on one side, obviously Reece Linton getting through, but obviously I would imagine he would have expected his teammate Joris Kroos, and given his experience and nature in sim racing, even at the highest level, he might have had a chance to get into Q3. He was close.
Absolutely, and it was probably by the barest of margins that we didn't see some drivers go through. It's just how it, the cookie crumbles in these top level of competitions. It is the barest of margins. It's those milliseconds that count. And, when we're talking about real life racing, it's those millimeters on the corner exit. How much are you willing to push to gain those valuable milliseconds?
Yeah, absolutely right. Well, I can tell you, folks, that we're already out and about, ready for the start of Q3. And this is where things get serious, everybody, because this is all about pole position here and now. So we want to hear from you. Who is going to take pole this time in PSGL? Already lots of movements out on track. Reece Linton out, so is Thomas Ronhart, Ismail Fassi, Lucas Blakely, Alfie Butcher as well, vacating the box. Let us know in the live chat, folks. That's what it's there for. Let us know who's going to take pole here in PSGL this time. I have to say, you've got many great candidates there. I've got to be honest, I've been really impressed with Jake Benham here, Tom. New team, obviously trying to get ingratiated. There was a big event for McLaren in Trafalgar Square not too long ago, and the McLaren Shadow drivers took centre stage, did they not, to the mass audience that were there in Trafalgar Square. He was joined by, of course, his good close friend Wilson Hughes, and also, obviously, Alfie Butcher as well. And just a great platform for these budding sim racers.
What a moment that must have been for them, because I wasn't able to actually go and watch the event, but I saw photos from friends and stuff, and it was just fantastic. Turning Trafalgar Square orange by the sheer amount of people and presence that they had, and be able to be a part of that, to have that experience, must have been absolutely fantastic for these young gentlemen.
Yeah, no doubt. We've currently got Reece Linton now making his way down through towards turn 4. And looking to register a faster run. I can tell you that Thomas Ronhart was the first through the sector, but he's already invalidated his lap time. He was purple, obviously, given the fact that he was the first driver to make his way around, but no longer, because that invalidation will cost him a first run. We do have, though, in P10 at the moment, Lucas Blakely, who's currently the fastest man who's set a valid time so far, but having a little bit of a wide excursion, and that's going to cost him as well. So that's an invalidation, not just for Thomas Ronhart, but also for Lucas Blakely as well. That's not the way you'd want to start your first run in Q3.
Not in the slightest. You want confidence heading into these final few runs. You're so limited on time that already under that 10-minute mark, closer towards 9 minutes now. You've got to do everything perfect on what can be sometimes 2, maybe 3 laps if you can absolutely push it. It's probably going to go 2 solid runs for most of our drivers. Pretty much all of them peel back into the pits after they found a feeling here in Interlagos.
Yeah, it was purple in the middle sector for Butcher for a time, but he's decided now to come into the box to have a reassess. I'm just going to read through some of your comments, folks, because quite a few of you have registered your pole predictions. We've got Phoenix Silver, good to see you back, Phoenix, with Otis for pole. And we've also got Barry or Ishmael for Chaitanya Vala Baneni. Apologies if I butchered that. Barry or Ishmael for you. Elias Pelleback saying Otis or Barry as well. Verstappen Max saying Fassi for pole, Jarno win. Blake Ellenwood, Barry to start us off, says Blake. We've got Sayed Mohammed saying Otis or Lucas. Sharok is saying Ronnie. Reckons Thomas Ronhart's going to do the business. Robert Verweis is going to go with Nicholas. I'm guessing Nicholas Longay on that one. Obviously, ever so experienced as well. And obviously keep them coming as well, folks. As Jana Watmere now goes fastest. Obviously seems content to set a lap and does so. 1:19.683 to go fastest now. But hold the phone because the McLaren... Oh, well, I was about to say the McLaren was going to go fastest, but my timing screen was making a little bit of a glitchy movement. It went purple for Jake Benham then for a brief moment. But I will say this, Jarno's gone faster again. He's going for 2 fast runs here, TK.
That's an interesting attempt here. Maybe he just wants to bed the car and get some runs whilst the track is relatively quiet. It could be a bit of experience for him. Obviously, he's a well-versed driver. He knows these tracks, these layouts. But sometimes in a new game, an extra lap or 2 can't hurt.
No, not at all. I'd like to say a big thank you to all the viewers in the live chat now. We've got well over 900 of you now. Let's see if we can make it 1,000. Come and help us out, everybody. We do appreciate your time. It's purple in the middle now for Jarno Watmere, the Flying Dutchman, looking to now spread his wings and fly away once more as he looks to storm his way through towards the checkered flag line and across the stripe. He'll then look to go faster than the 119 he's already registered in place, and it will be a 106.257. The first lap being a cool run, the second lap being a little bit more sincere. 106.257, and not bad for the early runnings.
Not bad at all. Still time to find over the course of this circuit as well. I think the fastest we saw the exit of Q2 is about a 106.1, so still a little bit of time for our drivers to find, of course, new tyres and an absolutely minimum fuel run. We'll see that, and I say that as Barry Burman does a 106.0 and does go fastest.
Yeah, obviously the first run for Otmere was not a fast run, folks, but registering a time nonetheless, much like Otis Lawrence. We've got Nicholas Longay, who's also invalidated his next run as well. So obviously this is the point in case that we have, of course, we've got many drivers looking to take multiple laps before then setting a fast run. This is something that's obviously a little different to what we used to have in the world of league racing. As now we watch as Otis Lawrence now makes his way towards the line, looking to now join the party up at the top. He's purple in the middle sector is Otis, so we'll now look to surpass Barry Burman now as he crosses the line, and will go past Barry Burman with a 106.037. That is a time that's 33 thousandths quicker than Barry right now. And we've also got further back Lucas Blakely with 2 green sectors so far. 16.939, which is a little slower than Otis Lawrence in the first sector. The middle sector, though, not too bad, though it's not a great lap. Third fastest with a 106.221, a little bit faster than Yana Watmere. Ishmael Fassi also with a green first sector. The middle sector better than Lucas Blakely, but it's purple in the middle sector for Alfie Butcher, so we'll keep our eyes panned on him when the time comes. Here comes Fassi as he now jumps into third and joins teammate Barry Burman in 2 and 3. Next up will be Butcher, who of course was purple in the middle, not quite good enough though in the first sector, and therefore remains third fastest as we now wait for more times to come through. Next up will be Longay.
Yeah, Benham crossed the line as well, went 5th fastest in the second McLaren, so times are starting to roll in here in Brazil, but of course they're not really going for the optimal or the fastest runs at the moment, just making sure they have those bankers that we described slightly earlier on, making sure the delta is working. But we are about to come down to crunch time, and I'm really excited to see who is going to have the first pole position of a brand new season.
Yeah, Reese Linton now 5th fastest as well. Yana Watmere in the pits. Here comes Nicholas Longay. 16.983 in the first sector is not the best we've seen. Of course, Barry Burman with the fastest first sector, and it was a 16.881. As now here comes Longay and will pop into 8th fastest. Thomas Ronha, of course, comes next and goes 3rd fastest and joins the 106.0 club, and currently sits 500ths away precisely from the top time that Otis has set in. A big thank you to everyone. 1,000 viewers already, and it's only the first race of the season in PCF1. It's great to be back, folks, and much delight on the commentator's side to be back in front of you guys. Obviously, great to be alongside TK as well for the first time. I mean, TK, what is it like to be back in the PCF1 paddock? The virtual paddock, I should say.
It's like Christmas. I'll be completely honest. It's been something that you've been waiting for and waiting for. We've had rumours, we've had, the odd whisper that Santa Claus might be coming down the chimney. But actually, until you're physically here, until you see the drivers enter onto the track, until we have the 1,000 plus fantastic ladies and gentlemen watching along at home, it doesn't feel real. But right now, it is like Christmas.
I'm afraid to say Santa takes the back seat when PSGL's on. I will say that. That's an absolute requirement when we're working with this series. But already now we're seeing the first times ushered in. It's Otis Lawrence with first blood at 106.037. Remember to get those predictions in, folks. We will, of course, read them through. But Lawrence, Burman, Ronha, Butcher, Fassi, Linton, Benham, Blakely, Longay and Otmere. I have no doubt we're going to be seeing some changes because, of course, Yana Otmere is not going to be content with P10 here heading into the first race of a brand new season. Thomas Ronha, of course, sat in third as well. Many of the old title protagonists out and about. And no question, we're probably going to see the double runs in place here once again, with Lawrence going out relatively early, Yana Otmere doing the same. As now we watch as Lawrence makes his way through the middle sector. Now we've got more comments in. Tactics rules. Otmere is going to become Polmere. Great to be back in PSGL PCF1 with the one and only George Morgan. Thank you, Tactics rules. Welcome to the channel once again. Great to see so many familiar faces, I have to say, from the past. It feels so long since we had PCF1 action, and it's so great to have it back as well. Chatanya is still saying Barry here for pole. He's currently sat 2nd fastest at the moment and not too far away, 33 thousandths from Otis's fastest time. At the moment, the purple sectors are divvied up between 3 drivers. The first sector going the way of Barry Burman. Alfie Butcher is fastest in the second sector, and Otis, who currently sits at the top of the tree, sits with a purple third sector, and Vortex has also tipped him to be fastest in this session as well. Otis beginning another run, but of course it's another out lap here, TK.
Yeah, it's going to be that double out lap again that we saw in Q3 and, in Q2. Obviously, we had the rain, the exit of Q3, so we weren't able to see those double out laps, but it just allows our drivers to get a little bit of extra tyre temp, wear down the fuel as well as they are. It's going to be the warmest tyres possible on the car, the lightest in terms of fuel load, and potentially the fastest cars that we're going to have over the course of today.
And what's extraordinary, we're seeing 2 different ideologies of taking a lap as well. Some of them not even going for those double runs, TK. Many of them going out now. Butcher going out late. So's Fassi. Arguably, we got others as well. Butcher certainly not leaving anything to chance. He is going to lay down a lap right now, but nearly losing the car on the run down through the center S's and can't afford to make any mistakes, but he nearly did then.
That could have been critical. He doesn't have an opportunity to back out and go again. What does he do at this moment in time? The pressure is well and truly on, and maybe we're starting to see cracks already.
I've got to be honest, it looks like he's slowed down, TK. That looks like that's his lap over. Now, obviously, the next mission is to get around and obviously ensure that he's got one final run. I would certainly suggest that he will, but it's going to be tight. Nonetheless, as we now wait for Otis Lawrence now to cross the line to begin his next fast run, and indeed he will, heading down the long straight. Here we go, final runs here in qualifying. Let's see whose prediction reigns supreme on the first day of PSGL PCF1 here on season 40. Can you believe it? 40 seasons in the books now as we watch as Otis Lawrence now makes his way to turn 4, heading in towards the city of Delago out of Retta Aposta. Back on the power again as he looks to make his way through towards the second sector. It's a 16.894 in the first sector, which is a personal best here from Lawrence. But we're also seeing personal bests as well from Jana Watmere, who is of course sat at the other end of our timing tower right now as we now watch Otis make his way through the middle sector here this time. Coming in towards turn 8, he'll then head out of SA corner in towards Pinorino, and then out of Pico de Pato through Marullo and now up towards Juncao, and he's purple now in the middle it seems, and according to our track map it still registers green on our timing screen at 33.371, but it's faster than many. But and faster than Jana Watmere as well. Here comes Otis Lawrence now to grow the gap from others behind. A 106, it becomes a 105. Great lap there from Otis Lawrence. Here comes Barry Burman, a 106 flat. As we now wait for more times to come across. It looks like it's P5 for Jana Watmere. Fassi goes 4th fastest. We also have now in P9 Lucas Blakely. Can he jump higher? Yes, just a little bit. Up into P8. Here comes Longuet as well. Reese Linton P7. Longuet the Frenchman up into P7 this time, displacing Linton himself, but it's purple in the middle sector for the All-Star. Jake Benham, who's now going to lift, or look to lift, his papaya car aloft. He will jump higher, and where will he go? It will be P4 for Jake Benham. It looks like it's Otis Lawrence, your fastest man. First pole position of the season, and it goes to the Welshman. The only 105 of the session, and it was a 105.912, 88 thousandths faster than Barry Burman. Burman in second place for Ferrari, with Thomas Ronhard back in the top 3. Third place out of Jake Benham. A great qualifying session for the young new McLaren driver. Then we have Ismail Fassi, the second of the Ferraris, inside the top 5. Alfie Butcher in 6. Then Jana Watmere, Nicholas Longuet, Reese Linton and Lucas Blakely, TK.
Wow, what a qualifying. The scene is set with Jana and Longuet setting the exact same time during that qualifying session. Thomas Ronhar invalidating as well. That qualifying had everything in it.
Yeah, it was truly remarkable, folks. I can tell you the viewer base is now crawling upwards as we speak. Over 1,200 of you, or should we say 1,200 of you now tuning in here this time. Great to see you all in the live chat, and a wonderful display from Otis Lawrence. I mean, what about a confidence here from Otis here, Tom? I mean, remarkable. We saw what he is capable of in the F1 sim racing season. He has now come back to PSGL, full of vigour, full of venom, and he is now on top here in qualifying for the first race, on the very first race as well, on the brand new game cycle for F1 25. Extraordinary.
That's got to be a confidence boost, almost certainly heading into it. He knows the competition that he has around him, but he also knows how many drivers would die for an opportunity to start off the season like he just has.
Yeah, many people saying Otis is Goatis. He certainly is in qualifying here at Brazil. What a start to this young man's time in PSGL, that's for sure. And we can hear from the young man as I joined him earlier on this afternoon.
Hello everyone, my name is Otis Lawrence. As you guys know, I have joined the Alpine F1 sim racing team for the 26th F1 sim racing season. I'm very happy I've joined the team. Very excited to see what can happen next. I've got really good teammates, Josh and Danny, and I've been working really hard behind the scenes with the engineers and stuff like that to extract. Hello everyone, my name is Otis Lawrence. As you guys know, I have joined the Alpine F1 sim racing team for the 26th F1 sim racing season. I'm very happy I've joined the team. Very excited to see what can happen next. I've got really good teammates, Josh and Danny, and I've been working really hard behind the scenes with the engineers and stuff like that to extract maximum potential, qualifying and race. And I hope everyone is having a great day. PSGL is thankfully back, and I've been really excited since F1 sim racing. It's been weird that I haven't done league racing because usually I'm just not doing esports. I'm just doing league racing because wasn't old enough to do esports. And now that I've done esports, it's great to be back league racing. It's obviously a lot less pressure, but it's the same standard. We got to perform, and my aim is to come into this championship and win. There's no other goal other than that. So I'm very excited, we'll see what happens in Brazil. I hope everyone enjoys.
So there we are, hearing from Otis Lawrence. And I do apologise for those of you wondering why all of a sudden we went to the stream starting page for just 2 seconds there. I accidentally double-clicked my stream deck, so I apologise for that. So you got a little snippet twice over of Otis Lawrence in the comments me and him had earlier on. Remarkable young talent, and back on top here again. Certainly hasn't missed a beat from last game cycle, and arguably a very difficult game cycle as well, Tom, in many ways. We've had 2 tricky ones, I would argue. 23 was obviously pretty positive, but obviously 24, we could go into that as much as we like. I'm sure everyone has their own opinions, but that seems to be like a thing of the past now as we move on to 25, and it's great to see some familiar names hitting the front. Otmir still fast as ever, obviously from what we've seen, but also you can factor in Barry Burremand, who has not missed a step in many years of league racing. Thomas Ronhaar also there as well, not to mention Jake Benham, who I think could be the dark horse today, now with McLaren for the first time. It really bodes well in terms of the competitive nature of this season's championship, TK.
It really does. And when you've got a grid that is just as strong as we've got at the moment, especially when we come into that new season, new opportunities, new game to learn, it really puts that field on such a level playing field compared to what we have, say, 2 or 3 seasons deep. So I'm really interested to see how they all cope. Obviously, Brazil is such a fantastic track to start at, steeped in history, but also provides some of the best races in F1 as well, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, well, don't worry, folks. The race is not too far away. Obviously, we restart after every qualifying session just to make sure the lobby is in good order, and our man TK is on the case at the moment, so do not fear. It will be up and running very shortly, so do not fear. But yes, Brazil coming up now, and obviously we can look back at some of the titles that we have seen already go to and fro in the past. Of course, Jarno Otmir, a 6-time PCF1 champion as well, Tom. A legacy that certainly burns bright. Obviously, overall, a 7-time champion in PSGL as well. As a whole, no one has been as successful as this man, the Flying Dutchman. But obviously, with the fact that we got the new rookies now coming in, that could all change again. We could yet see yet another dominant force enter the sport. And I have to say, you look at someone like Otis Lawrence, who knows? Maybe he's the next answer to Jarno Otmir in that case. But, Otmir certainly seems to have found his fettle, the first ever champion to retake it after losing it in F1 Sim Racing, TK.
It's a real tough battle to come back from, especially when you have it snatched away from you like that, because you feel like there's opportunities where you still can come back from the downset, but also you've got to fight so hard, not only physically but mentally, to overcome those down treads, those moments where you can get in your own head. And I think it's important to talk about that these are athletes at the top of their game. They're going to have that emotional side where they realise that what could have been. And that mental step sometimes is a lot harder than, just finding a couple of tenths here and there.
Yeah, well, for those of you who are new to this series, obviously, and new, obviously, to Interlagos and where we're going tonight, we're going to ask the two-time world champion Brendan Lee to once again take you around on a hot lap for those of you who have just joined us.
We are here for the brand new season of PSGL on F1 2025, kickstarting everything off here in Interlagos, Brazil, a race really known for dramatic weather, dramatic races, and a drag race, the start-finish line to take home victory. Would that be possible on the brand new iteration of the Formula 1 game? Increased dirty air is going to be playing a major factor in today's race as we head into the middle sector. This is the key area that the drivers behind will really struggle to stay close, but if they can exit the final corner within 3-4 attempts of the car ahead, they could be on to snatch victory as you run up to the start-finish line. Really watch out for the weather here. It can be changing in a click of a finger, and strategy will be oh so important. The pit lane entry is very difficult as well, easy to get a speeding in pit lane penalty, and also the exit can be absolutely pivotal to gain a few thousandths of a second over your rival. So we are here, done with the lap in Brazil, and enjoy the race.
As Brendan Lee said, enjoy the race, and you will be able to in any moment. And of course, while this race is one that you'll surely enjoy, we have got plenty more to bring you through the season's calendar that we have got coming up as well. Of course, we mark round one in our quest to decide a champion for the first time on F1 25. Of course, we've got 14 rounds to take you through all the way to Abu Dhabi. Next time around, we'll be heading to Texas on July 30th. That'll be for round 2. Round 3, we then head to Silverstone. And then it's a trip to Zandvoort for round 4. And then Austria for round 5. China then for round 6. We then head to Spa-Francorchamps, the legendary circuit, in round 7. Round 8 for Jeddah, where, of course, our current pole sitter won his first ever F1 Sim Racing World Championship race. Qatar then, as we make our way through the second half of the campaign for round 9. We then have another break week, and then Bahrain for round 10 before we then head to Australia for round 11. And then onwards to the American continent for Mexico for round 12, and then Vegas for round 13 for the penultimate round of the championship, and then Abu Dhabi, where we'll hope to crown a champion, but you never know, we might get it earlier than that. And in terms of the season's grid that you can enjoy through the course of the whole season, we do have, of course, Alpine with Otis Lawrence and Danny Berejnet, Duncan Hoffland, Nicholas Longe at Aston Martin, Barry Burman and Ishmael Fassi at Ferrari, Reece Linton and Joris Krozen at Haas, Thomas Ronhaar and Julian Klaffenbach at Kick Sauber, Alvaro Caraton and Ruben Pedreño at Williams, Tom Manley and Ulas Ozyildirim for RB. Then we have Jarno Opmeer and Freddie Rasmussen at Red Bull, and then Mercedes with Istvan Pukki and Lucas Blakely, and McLaren have Alfie Butcher and Jake Benham. In terms of tonight's grid, these are the drivers you can enjoy. Of course, we make our way through with Otis Lawrence, joined by Josh Edo, of course, stepping in for Danny Berejnet tonight, Duncan Hoffland and Nicholas Longe, Barry Burman, Ishmael Fassi, Linton and Krozen at Haas, Ronhaar and Klaffenbach Kick, then comes Pedreño and Tormala at Williams, and then, of course, we have Tom Manley, Ulas Ozyildirim at RB, Jarno Opmeer, Frederick Rasmussen at Red Bull, then Istvan Pukki, Lucas Blakely at Mercedes, and then Alfie Butcher and Jake Benham making their way through to McLaren. Of course, now, folks, we can now head across very shortly to the grid. We're about to get started here tonight for our first race of asking. Get your predictions in the live chat for our first race winner of the season here at Brazil. TK, I want your thoughts. Who's impressed you? Who hasn't? Who do you want to see gone? Let me know right now.
Talking of drivers that impressed me, you have to talk about Otis Lawrence. I don't want to say it's the easy jump, but obviously he's had a fantastic performance in qualifying. Drivers I'd like to see more from, maybe Duncan Hoffland, starting slightly further down in 15th, but the big story has to be Freddie Rasmussen, down in 16th place for this race start.
Yeah, so get involved, folks. Now's your time. You've heard TK's words. You've heard plenty from me. Let's hear from you. Obviously, we want to hear your comments. AMS Ivan has come out and said Yano. We got Aaron Dirasazna saying Opmir as well. Come on, folks. Get your comments in the live chat. There's over 1,000 of you joining us. Yano says tennis. Araquara. We also have TK impresses me, says Sky Designs. He impresses me too. But no time like the present for race time, as now all 5 lights are lit. And it's pedal to the metal. And it's go, 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 go. Great start for Otis Lawrence. Barry Burman in second place as well. Decent start as well for Thomas Ronha, has now challenged in towards turn 1 is, of course, Otis. But it looks like Barry has had to wait in behind. But Thomas Ronha, retirement. Oh, my goodness me. An early retirement. And it looks like Thomas Ronha is out of the race. That is high drama here at this point coming through turn 1. It's still Otis Lawrence, though, in the lead of the race. Nicholas Longe battling it out with Ulas Azilrim and also Lucas Blakely as they come out of turn 4 down through towards the middle sector proper. Now it is still Lawrence who leads the way as now Crozen and Hoffland battle over P12 heading into the heavy braking zone. TK.
Bernie Do still 2 abreast by about 4 wide cars as that's the Mercedes of Isvan Boogie being pushed off in the distance. Oh my goodness, these drivers are getting their elbows out in the first lap. This is incredible racing from all of our drivers here.
Truly mental. A look up the inside again here from Tom Manley as they now run up through towards Junkau. Wheel to wheel as well, further up as Joris Crozen and Reese Linton do battle. Manley trying to move past Yoni Tormler. At the moment though, it's still our race leader Otis Lawrence. Here comes now Barry Burman squeezing up the inside now as he looks to surpass the Welshman on the running towards turn 1, and the Ferrari leads the way here as we begin lap 2.
Yeah, this is now a game of strategy, cat and mouse if you want to. We see there's still battles further back. I think that's Yoni Tormula who's gone off. Very similar to what we saw with Ronha at the same time last lap, and very fortunate to keep it out of barrier. But Thomas Ronha is going to be absolutely fuming after, well, meeting a barrier that early on.
Yeah, I want to say good start, Jarno Opmir as well. Remember, starting P7 up 2 places already now, within 0.2 of a second of Ismail Fassi. The reigning F1 Sim Racing World Champion is now on a charge and on the tail of Ismail Fassi. Ferrari with a car in P1 and P4. In between, you've got an Alpine and a McLaren belonging to one Jake Benham, who seems certainly in rude health at the moment as we watch them come through the middle sector. And now final few corners now to take them round on lap 2 before we begin lap 3. Further back, it's getting pretty close between Pedreño and Yildirim, who's been fighting his way through the pack to try and list himself inside this top 10 as we now watch them come through past the Archie Bancadas. Jarno Opmir now coming under stress as now the Butcher comes in to join the fight. He's on the tail now of the Flying Dutchman, and more movements as well further up, with Benham now being attacked by Fassi around the outside now from Ismail Fassi, but late on the brakes from young Jake Benham, who retains P3 in great style.
That's some fantastic defending from Benham. Waited for Fasci to commit to one side, but he's made a mistake as they exit out and send the rest down to turn 4. And the move has been made by Fasci, and that is going to be heartbreak for Benham. It was a great defence into the first corner, couldn't quite have the legs in the second stages and drops down to P4. He's now got Jarno Opmir in his rear view mirrors, and that is a sight that you will not want to be seeing here.
2 drivers that were friends before, they're now enemies on track. But I'm sure friends at heart, really. Not that that matters in the 36 laps of action that we're going to be bringing you here in PSGL here this evening. As Jarno Opmir now comes through the middle sector, this time in the raging Red Bull that brought him his 3rd world title. And now heading uphill, of course, winning a title with 3 different teams, the mark, the legacy of a champion. As he now exits out of Junkau and now chasing after young Jake Benham, who has certainly shown plenty of promise over 1 lap pace, but can race trim correspond, as now the All-Star looks to try and tap up Fassi once more. Ferrari with a car in P1 and P3. Jarno breaking out of the aero as they come through turn 1 again and begin lap 4 this time on 36. Burman now starting to grow the gap here, TK. It's beyond 0.6 of a second now.
Certainly is. We've got drivers into the pits already. Tom Manley taking an early dive, started on the hard tyre, so there surely has to be something wrong for the V-Car retirement this early on, and I wonder what's happened to Freddie Rasmussen as well, who's dropped over 10 seconds back off the pace.
Yeah, Jarno right in the rear wing, right in the wheel tracks at the moment of the McLaren of Jake Benham. They currently are still as they were at the very start of this lap 4. Now coming through round the next left-hander, nose to tail still. Freddie Rasmussen routed to the rear, having already seen some pit stops already. I can tell you that, like you so rightly said as well, oh, we've lost Tom Manley as well, that's a retirement. Reece Linton also moving through past Josh Edo, but they're wheel to wheel now on the run up through towards Junkao, and Edo with enough strength and style to now progress himself up into 12th place. And now just inside 3/10 away from Duncan Hopland as now they race down through towards turn 1. Barry now growing the gap to nearly 0.8 of a second, and that's the fastest lap of the race.
Yeah, good effort there from Barry Burman. He now has an opportunity to try and pull away from the young Welshman that sits in P2, but Otis will want to stick like glue to the rear of that Scuderia Ferrari, drag himself forwards. And of course, with the dirty air that's been introduced here in F125, a lot of the drivers have said it's sometimes completely undrivable when you're trying to chase down, especially at high-speed circuits like this.
Yeah, well, they're coming through now in towards the middle sector. Burman now seeing some of that delta dissipate, and Freddie Rasmussen also retiring now. So that's an RB and a Red Bull also retiring in the last few laps that we have witnessed them. Obviously, in the initial 5, 3 down, 17 drivers still to go. Reece Linton back around the outside of Josh Edo. These two now doing battle again. Of course, Edo managed to slam the door shut last time. That might be a little bit difficult this time because, of course, Linton has the inside as they cut through out to Bico to Pato and through towards the next left. And now the two Hasses are going to go wheel to wheel as Joris Krozen certainly not going to conform to necessarily teammate interplay. Or does he? He slots himself in behind. Reece Linton unsuccessful again as Edo holds on to 12th.
It'd be interesting to see here if the two Hasses try and fight it out. Ulas in towards the pit lane, fresh tyres going on. 10-second penalty though for speeding in the pit lane. That is going to be heartbreak for the RB driver.
Yeah, coming into his pit box now, as you can see the RB pit crew now at work. Obviously one car down with Tom Manley out of the race. And now back out again. Ulash now opting for a fresh set of hard tyres. And it will have, of course, the fresher tyres or freshest tyres of anybody out on track, with everyone else retiring from the race. So very much opting for a gamble here is Ulas Ozildrim, as now Lucas Blakely starts to press Nicholas Longue. Of course, these two know each other very well indeed, have been part of the F1 sim racing and league racing circle for such a long time. Of course, Longue beginning his career back at Red Bull Racing, and later, of course, moving to Renault, and then also taking part with Ferrari, also with the Alpine team, I think, for a time as well. Well, that was Renault, essentially. So they climbed up through towards the left-hander, of course, part of the Enstone base they once had. As they circulate now up through past Archibancaris, as Blakely now looks to tap up the Aston Martin now on the run down through towards the checkered flag, and in comes now Lucas Blakely, and also Ismail Fassi coming in early as well, TK.
Yeah, quite a few drivers opting for that earlier pit stop. Ruben Petrino, Duncan Hopland, two other names just decided for the early pit stops, but decided to go incredibly long on a set of the hard tyres. Are we expecting the two-stop here?
It's possible. I mean, we've still got a long chunk of this race still to go, so those mediums are already being taken off. I would truly be surprised if we see a two-stop. That's very rare that we would see necessarily a pit stop done this early, unless we were expecting a double stop. Now, bear in mind, we did see, of course, the RB go earlier last time. That was Ulas Ozildrim. He's now managed to move up into 14th, but remember, he does have that 10-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane, and that's not going to help him, and wiping out the brake markers as well as they head through out of turn 4.
Yeah, it's an interesting strategy here. I'd be intrigued to see what chat think of this, especially those that have done their fair share of league racing experience. We've got the pros racing it out here. Their engineers behind the scenes will be pretty much dictating what happens in terms of pit stops and strategies, but it's a brave call to come in this early, unless we're expecting maybe some alternate stuff happening later on. Borman's pits from race lead.
Certainly does. Burman coming in early as well, so they're really not enjoying life on the medium tyre at the moment. Maybe this is more like Burman responding to everybody else, but also note that his teammate Ismail Fassi also boxed earlier on too. So we'll see how this certainly affects things. I can tell you this, Reece Linton, Joris Krozen already sat up in P8 and P6 at the moment, but those that are on fresh tyres are going to be coming around any moment now. Here comes Fassi. He's now going to look to surpass his teammate. The question is, will he jump higher than Burman? Will that early stop be beneficial? I would argue it is. It is now Ismail Fassi, essentially net leader of this race here, TK.
Wow, that undercut incredibly powerful here in Brazil. I don't think we were expecting it to be quite as powerful as we've just seen. The Ferrari's going to play this quite well now. They've got two cars who can, in theory, try and work together to pull back through the field. Well, I reckon those of them on the mediums that are still up in the lead of this train, the top 5, and of course Josh Ido and Istvan Pukki, will be now questioning how are they going to run this race in terms of strategy.
Soon find out. Alfie Butcher all over the rear of Jarno Watmere. So the McLaren looks to get closer. He's got his teammate Jake Benham currently locked in second. Jarno once again filtering out of the aero, quite content with waiting and being a little bit patient. 36 laps in total, remember. We're only 9 laps in. And many of these on medium tyres looking to go the distance. It's very rare to see difference in strategy as Klaffenbach gets overtaken by Josh Ido now. And sweeping out of the centre S's, they are ahead of Istvan Pukki, who now comes into the pits. Duncan Hopland, fastest lap of the race. So those that have now moved on to the faster, or should we say the new hard tyre TK, feeling the positive effects here and now on lap 9.
Absolutely. Fresher tyres, the colder tyres, they don't have to get quite the track temperature that you'd see in the softs to be able to operate at peak efficiency. And don't forget, as Connor's just mentioned in the YouTube live chat, no safety cars here in PCF1, so no opportunities to have a strategy ruined. And that is going to be absolutely critical in terms of strategy, planning, a forethought by those engineers, because they can't account for essentially what is a random interaction.
No, not at all. So it's better that everyone is on the same terms. At least everyone's on the same wavelength where it comes to the safety car. They know that one is not going to arrive, so they have to do what they can within the race parameters. So that's the mission. Joris Krozen now sharing a little moment, a little battle with his own teammate Reece Linton, but I would say it's mainly exhibition work here for these two as they look to work together to the betterment of Haas. And these currently representing a trio that started on the hard compounded tyre as now Barry Burman goes fastest with a 109.506. For the back tuning Klaffenbach just outside of the aero on Josh Ido, just trying to get out of the dirty air, I think, at this point as they head through the double left, well, around the left-hander at turn 4 and now through towards turn 5 as they sweep through Ferragura and through Larangina as well. Otis Lawrence now in front, obviously, due to the fact that Barry Burman came into the box. Obviously, Burman nestling in those fastest laps. He is now 15.9 away from Klaffenbach. So Ferrari have opted, obviously, to reverse the roles. The two Ferrari switching. Remember, Fassi came out ahead of Burman. But what this essentially means now, and we've seen this from Ferrari before, they have been phenomenal where it's come to, shall we say, race planning, TK. When they have got two cars together, they can be oh so dangerous. We saw this with Longueuil Burman in the last 2 seasons of the F1 Sim Racing World Championship.
Absolutely, and it seems to be something that doesn't always translate from sim racing to real world F1, but their sim racing engineers work really well to get their crew working together, to get their drivers absolutely in sync. Here again this afternoon. The one driver I was going to say could have issues here was Josh Ido, stuck in a bit of a hard runner pack on a set of mediums. He does now pit to go onto a fresh set of hard tyres.
Well, look at this. Barry Burman now has surpassed Jarno Watmere and still confidently continuing on his journey, on his race, on his strategy. No one has managed to certainly unravel what they put together at the moment, and it's still Ferrari, essentially nets 1 and 2. And I have to tell you, this is absolutely fantastic from the Ferrari team. But the question is, how long can they keep this up for? Because, of course, those that are on the 10-lap-old mediums will, of course, conform to your conventional, normal, you'd think, stop fashion. Obviously, they've not gone the same way as everyone else has done. But does this mean they lose time during their own strategy? We'll have to wait and see. The question is, can they withstand the lifting temperatures on the tyres, the immense load, and also on top of that, just the degradation factor that exists around this very intense Interlagos track?
Absolutely. I think the question will be, are we going to maybe expect to see the one stop here from Lawrence and Benham? Obviously, they're going for a bit of an alternate strategy compared to maybe the rest of the field that started on those medium tyres. Tyre saving is going to be absolutely critical in the next few laps if they haven't destroyed them already. Look for that one stop, save the time that they would have spent in the pits, and put all the drivers under pressure when they do eventually go to make that, assuming second stop.
Yeah, well, I mean, the big danger is for the runners up at the front as well, is where are they going to come out under, because obviously Ido's all the way down in 16th for the, and also Istvan Pukki really 3.1 away, and that gap could come down closer because, of course, Pukki's on better tyres than anyone inside the top 6. obviously just by mere fact that he's already made his stop. So this is compelling. This could mean that our top 6 now could be facing some very difficult circumstances come the ending of this race. And bear in mind, dirty air is difficult where it comes to the F1 25 game. It's not easy in some realms to overtake. A train tends to exist. Reese Linton and Joris Krozen working together, obviously to help their own cause out. Jake Benham now finally comes into the pits, so there'll only be one driver left on the mediums, and that's Otis Lawrence.
Yeah, Julian pits as well of 12-lap old hard tyres, so that's unexpected maybe. All of the tyres are really not doing well here in Brazil. We aren't expecting them to be able to be taken to extreme lengths, but 12 laps on a set of hards is going to cause questions and concerns for quite a few of our teams here, I fear.
Yeah, it's going to be very tight. Lucas Blakely now making his way through P7, now ahead of Ulas Ozilderim. So finding a decent bit of pace. He's now 1.4 and now needs to build the gap onto Ismail Fassi. This is essentially net P3 at the moment here for the Scots. Of course, a race winner in GB4 and multi-time race winner, in fact, in that series, racing in GB3 as well alike. He's done so well, obviously representing sim racing in the world of real-life motorsport on top of being an F1 sim racing champion. Of course, Jarno Watmere would know a little bit about that, of course, prior to his F1 sim racing career. Also, a karting national champion, racing against the likes of Mick Schumacher, and also part of the F4 Central European Zone Championship as well. As we now watch them come up the hill, Reese Linton into the pits. As now Joni Torbler moves into third, Otis Lawrence still leads the way. Barry Burraman now will surely move up a spot, and once again, it will be fourth place here for Barry. As now Reese Linton drops down the order, and that is the sheer result of going longer on this strategy as well, TK. They're going to have to fight their way through the field, but albeit they'll be on better tyres.
Absolutely. I'm questioning Lawrence's strategy here. He obviously feels that the tyres are acceptable to keep carrying forward. They are losing time, hand over fist to the drivers that pitted about 6 or 7 laps earlier. You can see how much Barry and Ishmael have started to catch up to what was that leading train. Now essentially there's only 2 or 3 drivers, but Lawrence has got an interesting opportunity here. How long can he take a set of the mediums? Because we're about a half race distance here. This could almost signal and guarantee the one stop for Lawrence, which could pay very beneficial at the end of the race.
Well, it means he'll have plenty of tyres and he can push as much as he likes really towards the end, whereas everyone else is going to be, I would suggest, walking on eggshells really towards the bitter end. And I'm looking at some of these drivers now that are out on track. Obviously various of numbers of them went in very early. Joris Krozen now coming into the pits, as is Joni Torbler. So these are the hard runners now boxing off. Now there's going to be medium tyres at the ready, no question, I'm sure, for these two. As now Barry moves up into second, only 7 seconds away from Otis Lawrence now. Here come the tyres, and it's another set of hards. So there we go. It looks like we could be seeing softs at the end. A 2-stop on the cards, TK.
Yeah, absolutely. It was hard for Krozen, mediums going on Tormula's car, so split strategies even here at the moment. That means Joni is the only driver on a set of medium tyres at the moment, with the exclusion of Lawrence, who is yet to pit. But nobody quite knows what the perfect strategy, I think, here is. Everybody have a differing of opinion, potentially, as you said, seeing the soft tyres at the end to really try and claw back some positions.
It's going to be immense pressure on this young man. Of course, the man who took the first pole position of the F1 25 game cycle here in PCF1 as we kick-started season 40. One thing we do know for sure is that Julian Klaffenbach, Reese Linton and Joris Krozen will be doing a 2-stop, because they have jumped in from hards to hards. As now Longate moves past teammate Duncan Hoffland, now sits in P9, so the two Astons now looking to perhaps work together. The close up to the back of Alfie Butcher. We've got close gaps as well between Jarno Watmere and also Ruben Pedreño. Watmere swiftly moving around the outside with the power of DRS, the Flying Dutchman now looking to go onto the attack, and has got much fresher tyres than Ulas Ozilderim as well. Currently 5 laps better off. Ozilderim actually boxed earlier than most, as now they curtail down through towards turn 4 once more. Here comes the Flying Dutchman breaking out of the aero, just feathering his throttle in behind Ozilderim right now. The Turk, remember, 10-second time penalty, so he's going to be locked in behind the Turk for now. As we now move through, plenty of laps to go. We're not even halfway through just yet.
Yeah, approaching half race distance, of course, sitting around lap 18. A move further back for the Butcher, trying to go to the inside of Pedreño, will be forced around the outside as they come to the bottom of the hill. It's Papaya versus Blue as they crest the hill again. The Butcher dispatches Pedreño there. Fantastic move.
Brilliant move there from Alfie Butcher, now carving his way into P7. Great move indeed from the young man. A little look there as well. Another marker board getting a big smack as well as Longay feathers his throttle all over the back this time of Pedreño as well. He saw Omnia make the move not too long ago, but coming past the Archibank Goddess, it will surely roar here for Nicholas Longay, who now utilises the DRS. Didn't even need it to make the move. Omnia on the move as well. Up the inside, past Ulas Azildarim now, and into P4.
That's what he needed to do on the other front. Otis Lawrence in towards the pit. 16 laps he ran on a set of the medium tyres. Watch here though, Jarno Opmeer attacking Lucas Blakely, gets the move done. Podium position now for Jarno Opmeer. He is flying down under in Mexico.
Yeah, Otis as well, just leaving the pits here at this moment as well. TK, he's just literally left. He's routed to the back of the order, but bear in mind, there are drivers that are going to have to box again. So Otis on the tail of all the runners right now, and it's important to note that there is only minor margins, even those without DRS.
Absolutely, it's so close. Otis, of course, will have the fresher tyres now in Brazil. I'd like just to make clarification. I know where we're racing here this afternoon, but he does start to catch up. But of course, with that one stop that he is going to try and attempt, he doesn't have to worry about that second pit stop, which will get him about 20-30 seconds on average.
Yeah, I love this. Differing strategies across the board. We've got some doing 2 stops, some doing 1 stop. We've never seen this before in the realms of league racing, certainly to this extent, to this level. And it breaks the mould in many ways as well. As now we see Jay Benham looking to break the mould of P9 and moving into P8 ahead of Ruben Pedreño. And the man who has just joined McLaren now looking to stamp his authority on relatively fresh, brand new tyres. Only 5 laps put on them now, but it's going to be harder to get past Longay and his teammate Alfie Butcher.
Lawrence has already made up one position, dispatches Pookie at the start of the Senna S, has used the DRS to his advantage and now has the rest of the field in his sights. I think we are going to see a comeback story here. It's all across the grid, as you said earlier. So many different stories are about to emerge. We've literally just hit half race distance, and this is going to be a thrilling second half.
Yeah, running on board with Alfie Butcher. Just actually surpassed it, got very squarely there for Ulas Azildarim. He might lose out again because here comes Longay up the inside now as they come through out of Marulo corner, down through towards Juncao, or up through towards Juncao very shortly, and Ulas Azildarim losing out to the Frenchman, and it looks like now the tyres are starting to betray him because here comes Jake Benham as well, looking for a piece of the pie, swarming all over the back of the RB as they cruise through. DRS now open, as now it looks like Benham's going to go on the attack. Surely he can get this one done very easily here. Looks to the outside now as he commits to the outside through the Senna S's. Back down the inside, coming through turn 2 now. Out of turn 1, Ulas Azildarim off the track now, committed to the curb. But Benham brilliance here on lap 19 and moves up into P7.
Yeah, forced the space to the inside, allowed minimal margins for the RB car, and that is how you get past. Minimise the space, but leave the car's distance, and that is fantastic racecraft.
Yeah, brilliant racecraft indeed. He found his angle, found the channel. Otis Lawrence currently 1.5 seconds away. If you want to talk about last lap times, folks, it was a 109.3 was the best lap by Otis Lawrence, and it was in fact his last lap. So Otis Lawrence, the fastest man on circuit right now, he's 5/10 quicker than the man in front of him, Joni Tormela. So I'm expecting that gap to come down. He should be able to overtake within the next lap or so, because of course he will get DRS, and that will be a major factor. So Otis is the fastest driver on track right now.
Yeah, I think he could even get DRS actually as we run up towards the start-finish straight. Start lap 20 of 36, 17 laps to go here in this Grand Prix, and just as many drivers for him to overtake.
Yeah, down the inside hit from Longay as well on Lucas Blakely, and through. Past Blakely he goes. Butcher now over to 4th, Longay up into 5th. Blakely now a sitting duck here for Jake Benham. Of course, Blakely similar to Pedreño, similar to Azildarim, similar to Duncan Hovland, almost using a majority share of his tyres, will of course have to come in again. We're currently now on lap 20, 16 laps to go. As they now come through out of the first sector in towards the second. Here comes Benham, very close to contact. In fact, there was a little bit of contact there. We saw Benham all shapes as he made his way very nearly onto the grass. But a great save from the All-Star, who currently sits in 7th and is going to have to recover to try and make the pass again.
I'm almost certain I saw that car at about a 45-degree angle for about half a second. Jake Benham did incredibly well to hold it in the straight line, but he's got to get that out of his mind, not worry about what that car's about to do. He's got to have all his attention on Lucas Blakely in front of him, try and force the Mercedes into a mistake. He's putting pressure on now as we climb around the final few corners. Can he try and get a move done with the help of DRS? I think he's going to get it done without the help of DRS.
He certainly does. He's now moving to P6. It's Jake Benham on the rise, joining the likes of Longay and Butcher, and he's got fresher tyres than anybody inside the top 6 at the moment. The freshest tyres of anyone inside the top 10 even, if you want to exacerbate that fact just a little bit more. And that'll be great news for the likes of Otis Lawrence as well, who is on fresher tyres than Benham. He's on fresher tyres than Tormala. Tormala on the medium tyres. Joris Krozen are going to move past Josh Edo and has done so, and now he's on the tail of Duncan Hoffland. So now looking to break inside the top 10. This could be a mighty move for Joris Krozen in order to adjust his measure now in terms of the top 10. Can he break through past the Aston Martin, taking the long way round? Duncan Hoffland giving him a nice fight, very close to contact, wheel to wheel, but it's Krozen now up into the P10 position, and now will chase after further points. Has got fresher tyres, of course, more than double than Ulas Azildarin further up, who still, of course, is the only man with a time penalty against his name.
The other Haas further back, Reese Linton sent an audacious dive down the inside of Josh Edo, as does a few other drivers. Is that a spin further back? It is. Josh falling down to P17, heartbreak.
And it's Julian Klaffenbach through to P13 as well. A mishmash further back. Here comes Otis Lawrence. Remember, as we now see more cars coming into the pits, that is a two-stop strategy now unfolding elsewhere. Late on the brakes, locking up almost there was Otis Lawrence. But just look at this, the strategy unfolding now for the young Welshman. 5 laps accrued on his tyres. Now he goes to work, taking down Julian Klaffenbach, and past with ease goes Otis Lawrence. And through turn 4, he's in P9 as running wide goes Ruben Pedreño.
Top 10 is called. He's now P9. 8 drivers stand ahead of him, most of them still on that two-stop strategy. The question will be, can he start to battle them fairly on the circuit? Looked for a move down the inside of Pedreño, now looks to the outside as he tries to tend himself through the second sector. Beautiful stuff from Otis Lawrence, gets that pass, and now he's got a new mission in front of him. Both Haas cars standing in 6th and 7th. Lawrence is on the rise.
Brilliant run as well from Julian Klaffenbach to basically provide a carbon copy of what Otis Lawrence provided literally only meters before, as now we watch them come over the crest and pass the Archie Bancadas again here, this time on lap 23, or soon to begin their lap 23 of 36. They now race through towards turn 1. Otis Lawrence digging deeper, getting closer to the back of Reese Linton, immediately goes late on the brakes and just simply with ease, but runs wide. My goodness me, and that will leave him on a plate here for Julian Klaffenbach. Recovers well, but that's cost him a monumental amount of time, really, as far as league racing goes. 7 tenths now to close on the back of Reese Linton. Just got his braking all wrong coming through turn 1.
So easy to do, but also so unavoidable in a situation like this. Lawrence was pushing just that little bit over the top of maybe what his car could handle, and that's the consequence that he has to pay for it. Just to keep you updated what's happening further down the field, Blakely and Hoffland have both got 10-second penalties for speeding in the pit lane, as does Ruben Pedreño as well. 3 drivers all falling foul of that pit entry speed limit.
Could this be the case, that frustration's kicking in? Many of them probably thinking that they were making the right choice going for the 2-stop. I don't think anyone quite considered just how well Otis would perform in this circumstance. Obviously going long on that medium tyre, and this might be the difference maker as now Burraman comes in the pits, TK.
He does indeed. Down the positions he will fall, probably joining out roughly close to his teammate Ismail Fassi that we saw last time around as well, who's just coming through the final few corners as well. That releases all of our drivers within the top 8. And what tyres has he gone on to?
Hard tyres. Barry Burraman on hard tyres. We've only got 12 laps left. That is bold from Barry Burraman. So unless he didn't have another set available, I mean, it's not going to be the fastest tyre you're ever going to see. And it's going to take time before they're up to temperature. If I'm honest with you, my money's on Otis Lawrence right now, and I honestly think that's going to be the case. And just look at the traffic he's going to come out in amongst. He's going to be up against Lucas Blakely immediately through turn 4, who's not going to give him any respite, because these two knowing each other very well. Burraman just in front of him, but Blakely with 2 laps advantage in getting those tyres to the required temperature.
Yeah, luckily they won't have to get to the extreme temperatures that we'd see the soft and the mediums have to reach. They can operate at that lower working temperature, but I think the main issue here that a lot of our drivers were facing, you saw in those earlier stints, the mediums were really only going between 6 to 9 laps. So I don't think they wanted to try and push a set of the mediums right until the end and risk them falling off in a critical situation. The hard tyres will comfortably do this 12 laps. Yes, they won't be as fast as a set of the mediums, but they are still good on race pace.
Yeah, hard tyres coming on at the moment. Obviously a good race tyre. We've heard that over the years. Obviously the esports drivers don't mind them too much, but all this just allowing the likes of Ismail Fassi to continue his ramp and run along with Burremand higher up the order. So they are going to be fighting right at the very end. If they can get their positions close to Otis Lawrence out on track. The thing is, Otis now starting the career up the road. This truly is extraordinary. The battle of the one stop against the two stop. I mean, this is just absolutely extraordinary. Obviously, Jarno Opmeer, you've got a question. Is he going to come in the pits? 14 laps accrued on his tyres. We've got approximately 11 to go. Does he have a spare pair of mediums? Or will it be the case that it's going to be another venture onto the hards? Or will he just try and take the hard tyres and favour track position, TK? That is the major question in all of this.
I think you're right. Who now, out of that top two, maybe Benham, maybe Opmeer, try and stay and stick it out? They know if they pit, Lawrence is almost certainly going to come through and have such an advantage. We say that as Opmeer is in towards the pit lane. Benham stays out though,
He's
so
in.
it splits
Yep.
patches amongst the top two.
He's absolutely in. Here comes Jarno Opmeer in for another pit stop, and it will be another set of hard tyres for the Flying Dutchman. We'll have to see what he can do on them. Of course, this will leave him on a plate here for Ismail Fassi. He'll move past the three-time F1 Sim Racing World Champion. So Fassi, if we were considering net leaders right now, effectively your net leader of the race, but 7 seconds away from Tormala. As now Opmeer looks to come back out onto the track. He's going to be met with Alfie Butcher as well, who's also got fresh hards on. So this is going to be a very interesting battle now as Opmeer does come out in front of the McLaren, and Alfie Butcher opting to remain in behind. Probably feels that he's better off, perhaps even catching the slipstream off the back of the Dutchman.
I think this is interesting data now for the engineers of Otis Lawrence, potentially even Jake Benham as well. They know where that car is going to come out, especially in that mid-pack. You see where Jarno Opmeer drops all the way down to, in the separation that he has up to Lucas Blakely. The question will be, can Benham adapt his strategy, maybe not fall all the way down? Can he push them to the end and really maybe catch out Otis Lawrence, who might not be expecting? I say that as he's also into the pits as well. Maybe my predictions need to get rewritten this weekend.
Well, Otis Lawrence is now back in the lead because Jake Benham is now in. So on go the fresh hard tyres for the All-Star. And it will be Otis now who leads the way. He's not the only one in the pits because we do have movements elsewhere, including the likes of Julian Klaffenbach and Ruben Pedreño, who now moves into P10. Otis Lawrence now in front and being chased down by Joris Krozen, who is on 2 lap older tyres. But the question is, how quickly can Barry Burrowman catch Otis Lawrence? Over the last lap, I can tell you that Barry was nearly 2 seconds a lap faster, so they could yet duke it out on the final lap here. This could all lead to a final dance on lap 36, maybe lap 35 here, TK.
I think you're absolutely right. We've got, what, 9 laps to go, 8 when we cross the line next time out, and about 7 seconds separating Burrowman and Krozen. It's going to be close no matter what happens, but it's got to be perfect for 8 laps from the 2 Ferraris if they have any chance of catching the front 2 at the moment. They cannot afford even the most minor of mistakes. Joris peels into the pit lane. That leaves Lawrence by himself. 10-second penalty for Joris Krozen as well. Speeding the pit lane, catches another driver out here.
Yeah, a few drivers now making some really critical mistakes now. And a big shout out to everybody. 2,000 viewers here on YouTube as we restart PCF1. Thank you everybody for your immense support. You're watching the first round of the Season 40 PCF1 PSGL Championship on the brand new F1 25 game, brought to you and powered by EA Sports F1, of course. I just want to let you guys know in the live chat that there are purple sectors flashing up here and now. Jake Benham is purple in the first sector, but more importantly, Barry Burrowman has been posting personal bests. The last one might not have been, but the one before was, and he's currently lapping at the moment 1.4 seconds faster than Otis Lawrence, so he could yet still have a race towards the end. Otis is pushing these tyres for all he's worth, but he's got to be wary that he can't push them too hard to lead to mega degradation, especially around a track that offers so much technical and tricky moments. given the fact that we've got hairpins, we've got progressive left-handers, where lateral load is certainly pressed onto the car, mainly on the right-hand side of the car to say the least, but there is a relatively even spread altogether. Otis, though, has got a mission on his hands, over double the wear on Barry Burman's tyres as Longuet now goes fastest and set a 1:08.491. Fastest lap of the race going to the Frenchman Nicolas Longuet.
Well, immediately stolen away by the R8G driver of Julian Klaffenbach, and that is an interesting start here. Medium tyres obviously going to go quicker than harder tyres, and it's going to be an interesting finish. Just to keep an eye on Barry, he's catching about a second a lap according to him. That's a little bit extra over the course of that lap as well. So Lawrence is definitely going to be in trouble, but it's one thing to catch drivers, it's another to pass, as we quite often hear.
Yeah. Otis Lawrence then coming through out of the middle sector and now into sector 3 proper. 5 seconds now, nearly precisely the gap between himself and Barry Burman, and it's still continuing to come down. Barry in the first sector is 17.6. Otis was an 18.0. 4 tenths different plus, over 4.5 in fact. And again in the middle sector, it was 7 tenths the difference. He is really starting to nip into the times now. Last lap there for Otis was a 1:10.5. So that's another 2 tenths dropped on his last lap before, as now Burman comes across the line. And I can tell you again that it's 1.2 seconds lap the difference now between Burman and Otis. You've got to give Otis credit. He is fighting for all he's worth to try and mitigate this depletion in delta between the top two.
Don't forget as well the two Ferraris being able to share that DRS. That will help them work together, pull forwards towards that lonely and stranded Alpine at the moment. The question's going to be, how much does Lawrence have left in the bank, mentally, physically, within the energy charge as well? How much is he keeping in reserve for the final 2 laps in this race? Because that's when we're expecting it really to come down to the final moments of asking.
Jarno Opmeer also looking to break into the DRS gap between himself and Blakely, and what this does mean as well is that he will essentially be part of this lead battle, and he'll be on faster tyres, fresher tyres than anybody. But he's also towing along Alfie Butcher, and I mentioned earlier on that Alfie would benefit from Jarno Opmeer's tow, and I would say, TK, I would say that's generally true.
Absolutely. It's going to be a question of who goes where now, because they don't want to try and be caught out by anybody else, maybe putting a step out of line.
Well, that is the danger factor, and Brazil has plenty of it. We've seen, obviously, track limits become a problem in qualifying. We've seen the pit limiter line an issue for many drivers so far, 4 of them picking up 10-second time penalties, the first of them being Ulas Ozildarim, who is currently routed down in 17th. Looks like, though, he's paid the price and paid the penalty, so to speak. Currently sits down in 17th place, quite a ways off. 9 laps accrued on his hards. Duncan Offlin currently sat in 9th along with Ruben Pedreño. Joris Krozen down in 12th. Lucas Blakely also with a penalty against his name. As now we watch them come through the middle sector, and Jarno Opmeer now is only half a second away from Blakely, 2 former PSGL champions. Of course, one of them reigning. Of course, Jarno Opmeer winning season 37, our most recent championship run that made him a 6-time PCF1 champion, 7-time PSGL champion overall as well. And would love to kickstart this season in great style, but first and foremost will have to push his way past the cars that are in front. Otis doing a great job at the moment of mitigating the time losses. Now Jarno having a look down the inside, just firing a warning shot towards Lucas Blakely. Blakely needs to have his wits about him now.
He certainly does. They can't afford to get too caught up amongst each other, though. I think Blakely will know it's not in his greater good to fight this fight, because the 10-second penalty will be looming over his head. Ulas retires in the pit lane. No safety car can come from that, of course, so all of our drivers won't necessarily be too concerned about seeing both RBs down and out at the end of this race. It's sad to see a team completely out after just a few laps, and if you're an RB fan this afternoon, maybe go get yourself some ice cream and have a bit of a cheer up.
Yeah, absolutely. Or get the popcorn out, because we could be in for a feisty few laps. I just want to say this, the time difference has actually come down between Otis and Barry now. Over the last lap, it was 7 tenths, TK. So it's no longer 1 point something, it's just 7 tenths between Otis Lawrence and Barry Burman. So are Burman's tyres starting to feel the pinch?
That's absolutely. This is tyre degradation going down at its finest. We've got 4 laps to go at the moment. If we times that by 0.7 of a second, that's 2.8 seconds. The maths is mathing that it's going to be between 0.3 of a second at the final line.
Certainly will. Here comes Jana Otmir as well. Alfie Butcher getting past Lucas Blakely just as Otmir did not too long ago. Now the turn of Nicholas Longue, who moves into 6th place now. Blakely forfeiting yet more positions. Now down into P7. But all eyes will eventually lift to the front. We're on lap 33 of 36. A few laps to go. And again, I want to say this. The gap last time out was nearly 0.8 of a second. It is just tenths we're dealing with. We're not dealing with seconds now. He's inside 2 seconds now, Barry Burman. He's still gaining on Otis, but the question is, will it be enough as Jake Benham desperately tries to close on the front runners as well? Jana Otmir now on the tail of Ismail Fassi, with a podium still potentially on the line as he comes out of Chunkao corner and rises uphill. A few laps to go. Jana Otmir looking to close onto the back of the Ferrari. Fassi has really made quite the name for himself, with a long way to go to catch the likes of Jana Otmir, who will now fan out to the outside late on the brakes as they come through the centre S's, but Fassi was just a little bit later as they came out of turn 1 and through turn 2 and in towards turn 3, but no defence for this one. Jana Otmir on the attack in the tail of the Ferrari now as they fan down through towards turn 4. Vastly defensive there from Fassi, who manages to keep Otmir behind, but is it in vain as they go wheel to wheel, coming through out of Retta Aposta, through Decidia de Lago, in towards the Ferragina now, through wheel to wheel once again, coming through out of turn 5 and turn 6, side by side, late on the brakes, the Dutchman leaving it late, as they go wheel to wheel, down in towards the next left, and Jana Otmir into P3 here on lap 34.
What a fight, what a battle. Fassi tried everything he could to try and hold the Flying Duck from behind. Eventually, it was too powerful in that Red Bull racing car. He'll now face his sights on Barry Burman in front. And all this could be helping Otis Lawrence if Jana is able to try and catch up in front. Butcher gets past Ishmael as well. 4th versus 5th as the McLaren files on through.
And also Nicholas Longue will fancy his own chances next as well. They're going to go 2 wide. They could yet go 3 wide because Longue's got a nice run coming through towards the centre S's. Had to really put on the brakes to stop from slamming into the back of Butcher, but manages to gather himself and through the inside of Ismail Fassi now. And Fassi through the last lap alone, through the last half a lap, forfeiting no less than 3 places all at once. As now Otmir looks to close up to his old nemesis, Barry Burman, 2 old legends of the PSGL league system, and now going to be set to fight it out once again here in PCF1, here in season 40. Burman now within DRS on Otis Lawrence as well. 3 cars could yet fight for the win here at Brazil.
They absolutely could. Jana needs just over 2 tenths to try and get onto the back of that Scuderia Ferrari in towards the 3rd sector of the penultimate lap here in Brazil. What a thrilling opener we've seen here for season 40 of PSGL. We've got 1 more lap of drama, 1 more lap of questions that will be answered. It's Lawrence versus Burman as we head down towards that start-finish line just over 3 miles. Alpine or Ferrari, which way will the story go? Ferrari to the inside.
Ferrari to the inside, Burman unsuccessful, the tail whipped out on the Ferrari. It did somewhat on the Alpine as well, but Lawrence still holds on to the race lead. We're on the final lap of the race. Here comes Burman looking to kickstart his PSGL season in the right way, as he has done so on so many occasions. A look to the outside, superior defending there from Otis Lawrence, but the switch back on offer. Here for now, Barry Burman on the escape coming out of turn 4. Wheel to wheel again, the Ferrari against the Alpine. Looks to go the long way around now, as they come into the heavy braking zone into the Larangina. And now very shortly through to SA corner. It is still Otis contact now. They make contact together. And Jana Otmir now looking to come through too. It's Burman who leads the way. As now Otis looks to send it up the inside again. Burman with the advantage. He now leads the way here on lap 36.
He does indeed. Lawrence isn't satisfied. Neither is Otmir as they come round the final few corners. It's a 4, no, making a 5-way fight for this race to win. He comes up towards the line. It's not going to be close enough though. The Alpine couldn't defend, and at the first time of asking, Barry Burman wins his first race here of the season opener. Brazil goes the way of Barry Burman.
Once again a winner in the opening race of a season, as he has done so many times before. It's Barry Burman who wins begins the Brazilian race to kickstart season 40 in PCF1. Very close together as they made their way up towards the line. A monumental effort from Otis Lawrence to kick-start his season with a one-stop strategy to try and master his charge and take an opening race win of the season, but wasn't quite there to make it happen. Credit to Jarno Opmeer. He also fought right to the checkered flag. But what a race to kickstart a brand new season on F1 25 here at PSGL. Ferrari in the W column. Race 1, take that off with a first race win of the season as well. Barry Burrowman is your victor. Will take the championship lead in the initial. Still a long way to go on our 14-chapter series. That'll take us through many twists and turns. Plenty of variation, folks. You do not want to miss a thing. If that's just a brief snippet of what we can expect this season, you're going to be in for a real treat, folks. Let's move through and talk about that final classification. It's Barry Burrowman, your race winner here in round 1 of PSGL PCF1 season 40 here at Brazil. Otis Lawrence, a grandiose effort to take a one-stop strategy to the checkered flag. It will be P2 for the young man, now part of Alpine F1 sim racing, ahead of Jarno Opmeer, who very nearly had him on the line as well. The strategy certainly wasn't wrong for the Flying Dutchman. Alfie Butcher in 4th, Nicholas Longe in 5th as well. Ishmael Fassi in 6th place with Jake Benham in 7th. Josh Ido down in 8th place. Also Reese Linton inside the top 10 with Julian Klaffenbach in P10 as well. Great start for the new boys with Klaffenbach starting from P20, eventually finishing in 10th. Yoni Tormler 11th, Blakely down in 12th, Istvan Pukki 13th, Duncan Offland 14th, Ruben Pedreño, then Joris Kroos. And we said goodbye though to Ulas Azildrim, Freddie Rasmussen, Tom Manley and Thomas Ronha. So that is it. What a start to the season, folks. Massive, massive. What a kickstart to this campaign we have had. And we blasted the viewer count as well, everybody. Thank you for your support. Over 2,200 odd viewers watching. I think it's actually risen again. Massive thank you, each and every single one of you. I mean, TK, how can we digest this? I mean, what a start to the season. I mean, a fantastic start for Ferrari, obviously, though they probably would have wanted Fassi up there as well because he had his chance.
He certainly did. There was moments in that race where you kind of turned around and went, Fassi could be in with a good shot here. Definitely getting a podium, if not getting that race win as well. But there was that beautiful storyline. Was Lawrence going to be able to make that one-stop work? Was it going to be caught by Barry? And right on the final moment of asking, it was just perfection in the strategy from the Scuderia Ferraris.
It was blissful. I enjoyed it. I hope you guys did too. Let us know your comments in the live chat. Of course, we will read through some of them as well. Your reaction to that sensational first race of the season. I mean, obviously, hopefully, we will get to hear from some of the drivers as well in our post-race interviews. I can tell you that, in actuality, Otis Lawrence is ready and waiting for a little chat. So we will bring him in now. Otis, good to see you.
Hello.
Welcome to the chat. Great effort on the one-stop strategy. You went against the grain of everybody else, and a P2 come the end of it. I'd imagine you must have really felt nervous in the closing stages of that first stint.
Yeah, I made a few mistakes in the second sit, but firstly, GG's to everyone on the podium. The qualifying was great as well. The pace was also very good. Tire saving in the race, we made the one-stop work, so I'm really proud of myself to get the P2 here today. But yeah, last lap, interesting. I won't really speak too much about it. Should be a penalty in my opinion, but I'm happy with the pace. That's the main thing, and I'm gonna come back stronger for the next one.
Well, there's definitely a lot of positives to take from it. Obviously, there will be some discussions, I'm sure, on your part in the stewards' room, and I'm sure they'll digest that in good time as well. But Otis, also, I want to talk to you a little bit about your move to Alpine as well. You really turned heads last season in your debut championship run in the F1 Sim Racing World Championship. Obviously, that time being with Aston Martin. You've now moved and switched to the Alpine Sim Racing team. Obviously, Nathan Tague, the team boss there, has had big plans there to build the Enstone brand up and atom for the new campaign. I mean, what are your thoughts? What are your feelings? A vastly different environment to Aston Martin?
Yes, a lot of different environment, but both teams are fantastic. Nothing to take from Aston. They really helped me also to get where I am. So Alpine as well, fantastic.
Yeah.
They've really helped me. Got Danny and Josh. They've been working really hard behind the scenes, helping us and yeah, all good at the moment, all positive, and we're looking at the right steps at the moment because we got pole, and we could have run the race. So yeah, it's nothing better we could have done.
And how about we've got virtually, if obviously Josh joins you, that I mean in the F1 Sim Racing Championship, you've got an all Welsh lineup. In both two cars. That never happens in Formula One. We haven't had a driver in Formula One since, I think, Price back in the 70s. I mean, that is extraordinary. I mean, that's a history-making moment right there.
Yes, I said to Josh, I knew George Morgan would go crazy as soon as he saw the lineup. But,
I'm flying the flag, my man.
Yes, I know who you're biased for this season. So yeah. Oh no, he's a great guy. He was really unlucky today with the qualifying. He got blocked by someone. So yeah, his pace was fantastic, and he's such a nice guy. And yeah, I'm really happy I'm working with him.
Yeah, brilliant stuff. No, honestly, it's a credit to have you with us as well, Otis. Thank you for joining us, and we wish you all the very best with your new team. More to come by the looks of it. Congratulations on a stunning pole position as well, and we'll see you for round 2.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Otis Lawrence, everybody. Complete legend of, building himself into a legendary figure of this fantastic championship. I mean, Tom, he spoke so eloquently. Obviously, some concerns that he has around what went on towards the closing stages during the course of that race. Felt he was forced off. There was a moment where he nearly made his way out onto the grass. I'm sure the stewards will be taking a look at that one. They could be busy this evening. But in terms of his whole performance, I don't think he can be too disappointed.
No, not at all. I mean, you almost converting a pole position to a win, that is always going to be a good result in anybody's book. Unfortunately, he fell short. Should the race have been 1 lap shorter, I mean, that was almost certainly his race to lose. But if you look at it from a learning and development sort of standpoint, him and Alpine are still coming together, finding how they work best. And from this moment, they've had that bond and they've gone, you know what, let's try something a bit different from everybody else on the grid. And it nearly worked. And that is going to be so much confidence as a team bonding, as a group working together, that it's going to be almost unmatchable compared to some of the other teams.
And that's going to really throw a curveball for the rest of the season, isn't it, in terms of where the strategies are going to go. Speaking of which, we can now talk to our race winner, Barry Burremand. Welcome back, Barry, to PSGL. We're finally back for season 40, and great to be joined by our resident Ferrari, I suppose leader of the Ferrari team as of now, alongside Ismail Fassi. Barry, what a start. Once again, you're known for your good starts in this series as well. Many times you've started a season well indeed, and obviously a former champion as well in your own right. A second championship doesn't look like it could be too far away.
Yeah, first of all, hello to everyone, and hope you guys enjoyed the race. Yeah, it was a cutie race, and also GG's to Otis. That quali lap was just unbelievable. Like, it was just crazy. It's probably, I'm gonna name it, if I have to say a word, it's probably art. And that quali lap was just unbelievable. GG's to him. And obviously in the race, he chose a different strategy. And then I think I caught him a little bit later than I thought, because I had to also, use a bit of, save a bit of ERS for Jarno in case. And yeah, it was, maybe I should have used all of it like before, but it's always if or whatever could happen. And also, yeah, I mean, it's good to have Isma with us. He's amazing. He's super fast, and I'm looking forward to see what we both can do. Obviously, it was our first PSGL race together. I mean, F1. And yeah, I mean, he's a really fast guy, and I'm looking forward to see what we can achieve together.
It bodes well, doesn't it, Barry? I mean, obviously, not just for Ferrari with the new combination of teammate, not to mention, I mean, obviously, we've got to give credit to Nicolas Longuet, who put in a massive effort with yourself over the last couple of seasons, and obviously being a team's champion not too long ago in the F1 Sim Racing World Championship. But we've also got to talk about those strategy calls as well. I mean, was there any doubt in your mind at one point that Otis might have unlocked the winning strat? Because we've never really had a, should we say, a differing, sort of route in terms of strategy. Certainly not to that extent before.
I mean, generally, I don't know. We never really thought about it, and but GG's to Otis as well. He made that happen quite well, and he was, I think, quite fast in general. I mean, Otis is just crazy. I said to him so many times last year as well.
Crazy Welshman.
When he had a bad moment, good moment, I said, like, look, man, you you're just amazing, and I'm sure one day you're gonna be a champion, like 100%. I can just sign it. And yeah, I mean, always good to share track with him. But yeah, no, we never really thought about one stop, because on the paper we thought two stop is gonna be better. But I mean, GG's to him, he made maybe impossible possible. And but yeah, I mean, it was just really good to be back. I really enjoyed it, and I really missed it at the same time as well before the race.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, looking ahead for the rest of the season, this obviously is the perfect start, the start you're looking for, Barry. We've got another 13 races to go through now through the course of this calendar. Do you think that this is form that can be continued throughout the season? Do you feel confident that you can take this to the very end and win your second title?
Well, to be honest, we have a really good package here in Ferrari. I think the engineers, dev drivers, everyone at the team, I think we looking quite strong, and I'm quite confident in my team. But yeah, I mean, going to next round and each round, we're just gonna practice as hard as we can, and just try to be the best.
Well, there you go. You can't say any fairer than that. Barry Burremand, race winner once again in PSGL to open up a new season. Congratulations, Barry, on that one. Championship leader, and we'll see you ahead of round 2. Congratulations.
Thank you guys. Have a good one.
Thank you very much. Barry Burremand, everybody. Truly remarkable performance, obviously, from Barry Burremand. And again, like we said, a perfect start to the series, Tom. Obviously, confidence there, but I think they're very wary of Otis.
I think that is the impression that Otis would have been wanting to make right out of the block today. He, for many aspects, is still a relative unknown in PCF1. Yes, he's had appearances. Yes, he's got that race win under his belt. But today he's shown that he can run that alternate strategy. He can come up with something with his team that maybe is a little bit out of left field and almost pull it off. That is going to be a danger zone. That's a warning shot for all the other teams to be wary of.
Yeah, plenty to look forward to, folks. And obviously, if you want to stay up to date with where we're going, of course, this season, we have plenty of rounds to come. Of course, with that race down, after Burrowman's win, we head to Texas for round 2 the next time around on July 30th, so don't miss that. That's going to be our next race, which will be, of course, next week on Wednesday at 7 o'clock. You won't miss it. And, of course, hopefully by then we'll have Twitch now behaving itself for us, as well as TikTok. After that, we will, of course, be heading to Silverstone for round 3. The Netherlands will then line up for round 4. Break week then coming up after that, with Austria for round 5, China for round 6, Belgium for round 7, Jeddah for round 8, Qatar for round 9. A break week then on October 1st before we head to Bahrain at the Sakhir International Circuit, and then Australia we head to Melbourne, and then Mexico City, followed by Vegas for the penultimate round, and then a run to Abu Dhabi at the Yas Marina Circuit for round 14, the grand finale that'll take us through to the end of the championship. But TK, any thoughts and feelings? Any comments as well from everyone in the live chat? Let us know. Lost One saying Gotremand is back in action. Do you agree, Tom? Do you think he can be a 2-time champion?
I think there's nothing stopping him. Today has been a fantastic display of probably old Barry. I think that's the best way of looking at it. He looks like a driver renewed, and quite often we see that with a new game cycle that can come in, and we'll have drivers that just find that energy, that push, that drive to go again. And he's got the energy and momentum with him, and that is so critical in a championship like this.
And we talk about some changes as well. Obviously, we're seeing some movements at McLaren. Didn't see a really poor performance at all from Jake Benham. Obviously did lose a few places towards the end. Also Ismail Fassi, new home at Ferrari, seems to be relatively in tune for this season. Not to mention as well the new blood in Reese Linton and Julian Klaffenbach, both inside the top 10. Bodes well for the season for those teams as well.
Absolutely. There's the drivers that have had changes coming, especially when we look at the likes of Haas. They are going to be on cloud 9, because we've seen this in sim racing, we've seen this in real life motorsport, not just tied to Formula 1, because when you get 2 new drivers in and essentially 2 new rookies, let's not put it lightly in this aspect, sometimes it goes really well, sometimes you end up with a bit of a disaster class. And even when they were driving together, they looked like seasoned professionals. They were close on the circuit, but they just weren't, take each other out. They were giving each other racing distance, and that is exactly what Haas will want to see.
They do, certainly, folks. And I tell you what we love to see is you lot. Thank you so much for tuning in and joining us here this evening for yet another round, another season of PSGL that has just got started. We are now underway on F1 25, and we look ahead to our next round as we head stateside at Texas for round 2. If you've enjoyed the show, guys, you know what to do. Why not hit the subscribe button and also leave a like to stay up to date to everything PSGL and stay up to date as well with the PCF1 Championship. Check us out on social media at Premier Sim GL on Twitter, Instagram, as well as TikTok as well. And if you enjoyed the commentary, we do appreciate your time as well, folks. If you want to check me out more so, it's at George Morgan TV on Twitter, Instagram, and of course TikTok as well. And Tom Knight TK, where can they find you, sir?
Every single social media is at They Call Me TK. Go check it out, drop a follow. That'd be much, much appreciated.
I call him TK as well, as I'm sure lots of you do. So yeah, it's great. Guys, thank you so much for joining us here this evening. It's been an outright pleasure hosting this show and commentating for you alongside TK once more. We are underway for Season 40 in PCF1. A long way to go. 13 rounds to be precise, but Barry Burraman is a sensation. Pipping Otis Lawrence to the punch. He wins the Brazilian race. But we'll wait and see how he gets on as we head to Kota. Until then, it's goodbye.